It is the start of the chaos here for the final week of the group stage here with the CBLOL Cup. I'm very, very excited. I had the pleasure of opening up what will be a 4-day week, which one of those will be a show of multiple teams falling out and not making it to the next round for playoffs. I'm very excited to see what goes down. My name is Orbital. With me is SuperBren, and we will be your casters for the upcoming 2 matches. SuperBren, how you doing today?
I'm very excited. We've got 2 more days of our, kind of regular season of the Cup, that round robin where everyone is fighting for placement. And then we'll have the 2 days of play-ins. And by the end of that, I believe only one team, or the 2 teams from the bottom 4 can escape out. What will happen is our 7th and 8th teams play each other, and our 5th and 6th teams will play each other. And then, the loser of 5-6 plays the winner of 7-8. And then the 2 winners that come out of all of that are going to move on. But before they can get there, there's still some things to decide today, Orbital, because we have seeding that's still up in the air, and quite a bit of it. Only a few of the slots have actually been truly mathematically decided.
Yep, and one of those we'll see a little bit later in terms of, which spot are you getting, or at least are you getting a bye, or are you playing in that lower side? It's a very dangerous game to be had, so let's go ahead and talk about the schedule a little bit. The schedule upcoming, at least for today, is going to be Vivo Keystars versus Red Canids, and then later on it'll be Furia versus Fluxu. That one will be a little bit interesting, and then following the last two for today will be LOS versus Pain, and then Leviathan versus Loud. A lot of matches on the line that do have a lot of implications. For me, though, LOS versus Pain will be one to watch for, only because I want to see if Pain can do something to give us some eyes a little bit on the day. Like, that's it. That's all I want to see, man.
It would be the most CBLOL thing for Pain to just fall over
like, come on,
for 5 straight games and then find an undefeated team and be like, okay, they lose. Like,
yeah.
Sure, man. Yeah, no, you got it.
It's the most setup moment, but that's not what we're looking at the current moment. Let's talk about our first match. Vivo Keystars versus Red Canids. These two are fighting in what I would say are probably the closest matchup. We have a 3-2 versus a 4-1. I give a lot of credit to Red. They have done so well with kind of this idea of, are we retaining everyone? And if so, are we going against the grain? No roster swaps or anything, and they're sitting at 4-1.
Yeah, and I thought it was 5-0. I don't remember what happened at the end of that Loud game. They were up like 12K, I think, so they must have won.
I mean, listen, 44 minutes can burn your brain. I'll give you that much. Like, 44 minutes can definitely burn the brain. But yeah.
Regardless, we've seen that Red are a very good team, and they are exceptionally strong. Almost like just burn the tape of the Loud game. That's one of those ones like you're not going to get anything going back. You're going to see all the things you did right, and then you're going to be like, wow, we really threw, huh? That's all you're getting out of it. So burn the tape on that one. For VKS, they've looked a little bit shaky coming into the new season. They've been pretty open and honest that they were kind of getting smashed in scrims. And so because of that, we're kind of wondering, what are they like looking towards? What's their ceiling for this new season? CL, the maker of grand promises, said during the offseason, like, hey, we think it's a disappointment if we do anything less than just domestically sweep. We should win every split. And they're not quite on pace to do that right now. So today's matchup is like, is Red really, definitely, truly for serious? Or are VKS like really shaky? It's not necessarily a prove it game for Red Canids, but it certainly is for VKS. There's a lot of philosophical skin in the game for them, it feels like.
I can agree with that one. I think for VKS, though, I give a lot of credit down to Morteus. A lot of eyes were on Morteus kind of stepping into this. A player stepping up to the big leagues, has a history, of course. Playing against some of the other competitors inside of the academy rosters, and now stepping on, has a 10.4 KDA. I mean, if you're talking about someone that throughout the matches so far hasn't looked super shaky, it does feel like it's Morteus stepping up to the plate, being that carrier for the squad, and even making them a contender for that playoffs position, that playoffs bye. I do agree, though, that, this will be a big test. I think still for Red, one of the big keys that a lot of people are looking at is the fact that they are going to have to face off against LOS at the top of tomorrow, the undefeated squad in there. And my eyes, I mean, that is a show and a half that'll be fun for, because either Red shows up here and we're looking at a 5-1 and a 6-0, and you could have a fight for first and second, or we see Red kind of falter, drop down in the lower standings, looking maybe like a 4th place or so. SuperBren, what do you think will happen in this game in particular?
For me, I think my focus is on the mid lane. Kaze has looked so good in every single game for Red so far. Like, he's just been what we expect out of Kaze. He picked up exactly where he left off at the end of, split 3. Which was like, wow, this guy's really good. Like, he's mechanically dominant. Like, he has great positioning. He's going to be where he needs to be. And he's going to, like, gap his laner and set his team up to succeed. And when we were talking about strong mids, especially in split 3 of last year, the other name was Miru. And he was also that kind of, like, takeover player. Just is going to body you in lane. Like, is going to be a problem. And we haven't quite seen that so far this split. So for me, I think it's gonna be looking at those mid laners, and as we get into the draft here, we can see that there is a Yone, and that has to be going into Mirror's hands because we have the Rumble as well all ready for VKS.
Yeah, it's this has been a special for Bowl up there in the top side. The Rumble has been really active. There have been some tweaks recently, I think, to the damage output, but yeah, it's still a very powerful champ to be had. This is a brutal all-in composition already being made. For Red though, this is a standard that they played so far. I think these are all outside of the Rumble champions that have been utilized by the squad. The Scion, the only one that I think either FNB or Curse have not played so far in the regular season, but they have eyes in there, right? They definitely have eyes on what they want to do and how they want to play it. Bans, though, very targeted. The Jace, the Xin Zhao, and the Rise on the side of EKS. On the flip, the Akali, the J4, the Kiana, very targeted toward that jungle kind of snapshot assassination type. And now for the Nautilus and the LeBlanc, a little bit of a target towards that mid lane. Kaze, not going to enjoy most likely what this last ban is going to be. And from my identification, if my eyes are not seeing me, VKS chose blue side, red chose first pick. So that's what I'm kind of reading here.
It does appear to be the case, and I like that you talked about those kind of targeted bans, because some of them are like the generically powerful picks. The Jace jungle has been just a menace to society, J4, right? But like the Akali ban, that's something that Miru had so much success on, trying to set up for success there. Some mid lane specific bans, we see essentially 3 mid laners taken out of the pack there by CL and Smiley drafting for VKS, trying to make sure, hey, we gave Miro this really powerful pick in this Yone, something that can take over a game and carry it. Let's put him in a position where he can take over and carry. And so it makes a lot of sense. I am interested. And there we are. So this tracks, right? We've given our mid laner this pick with a lot of agency, a lot of power, something that can go out and kind of take over the game. And as such, we've put our other carry, our bottom lane carry, on something that is like, hey, you're going to sit there, you're going to farm, you're going to right click, and that's kind of it. You can press on the hunt if you want to play the game, and that tells your team you want to play the game. But other than that, your job is to get really strong and then team fight.
You know what we call that? We call that preserving the KDA. That's all I'm going to say. That's what we call preserving the KDA. You never have to die, or you're never in range of dying in there. However, on the flip, for Red, we're going for a little bit more of that dive style, trying to match pace with the likes of that Yone, of that Nocturne in there. You get the Ahri, you get a little bit of escape built in, and now you have that diversity to kind of run away. The difference being is you need a follow through on that dive. Right now in the jungle, there needs to be some value there, and you're gonna round it out with the Pantheon. Not exactly my favorite, but I understand the synergy coming in for this comp.
The Pantheon gives, that kind of front line, like you said, almost like a bit of a pseudo dive, not going to be hitting the back line, but can just get on top of someone, and there's a lot of follow-up to be had, obviously. The Varus will love that point-and-click CC. You can get charms coming through the Orb of Deception as well. And with Scion to kind of round that out and be a big frontliner, they have almost like this kind of, not necessarily a skirmish comp, but almost and they're not assassins, but they are going to assassinate someone. Does this make sense? They're going to find, if you're out of position, they're going to punish you. And they're going to snap engage and just take their pound of flesh and then probably leave because they got what they wanted.
Yeah, I would sit there and agree with that one. It is, they take what they need. They might overstep, and they take a win at the same time. I am very curious to see how this does break down. For VKS, I'm very proud of what they drafted, though. I think this composition is a powerful one in terms of meta picks overall. You drafted this comfort standard that I think will give them the best odds at breaking into that 4-1s, trying to secure their playoff bye that you and I were discussing a little bit earlier. These standings are not set in stone, and that's what you're trying to do right now.
So I'm sorry, Orbital. I got to show the stadium in Sao Paulo clearly had a bit of an issue. Frosty is playing Bard, but I saw 2 Leonas, and as a support myself, 2 Leonas is so. I would love 2 Leonas.
I need that combo break coming out of Mayhem. I need that combo break. I don't want to deal with that right now. Yeah, so I do love the fact that they have been doing a little bit of silliness with the graphics behind. I mean, outside of 2 Leonas, what else would be the most terrifying extra champion in there? I'm kind of curious now.
If you could just double up on 1 champion.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean, I think it
wondering.
had, like, especially in Summoner's Rift, no combo break. It has to be something like CC. I think it's two
Yeah.
Gragas's. Because
Oh, I could see
What
that.
interrupts Gragas E? You just get Gragas E'd forever and then you die.
Oh, that's true. That's true. We got some love in by the fans right now. Showing love to all the teams. Remember, everyone does make it to a playoff standard at least. The play-ins for playoffs is a little bit different. I will say, I just thought about this. Having a Scion or a Poppy double up would be terrifying. The amount of CC with the knockups is so frustrating. Doubling that number as well would just make me ult F4. Uh,
Like heroic charge into heroic charge so that you get hit into a wall from like halfway across the screen.
yeah, I don't know. I would hate life with that too. Like Gragas, I can understand because you get bounce house, but like actually getting knocked up for like 5 seconds straight and not being on the ground would piss me off. But it doesn't matter. We're on the Rift. It is VKS versus Red Canids for game number 1 of Super Week.
And it's gonna be, like we said, there's gonna be a lot of stakes in really small moments because
Yeah.
mostly a lot of it's going to be small amounts of seeding. But again, if VKS can win out, they can push themselves out of that kind of third position. Like if they beat Red and then Red loses to Los and VKS wins, they can get up as far as second. So every game is going to have a little bit of pressure this week, especially because all the teams come to playoffs, if not for the sake of seeding, at least for the sake of like momentum.
Yeah. And already some momentum on the bot side. Early Ignite and Cleanse being used by Morteus and Kaiwing. This is, for me, a little bit of a surprise, but also understandable. We've seen teams actively doing this. Hey, we're going to fight early at level 1, level 2. Screw summoner spells. They'll come up in a couple minutes. We just need the HP advantage.
Yeah, a way I have heard about this is that the cooldown for the spell is in and of itself a resource. Right? What is your spell doing anything if it's just sitting there in your inventory? No, might as well start that cooldown as early as possible, so then when you need it at the next fight at 5-6 minutes, it's already back up.
Yeah, I mean, I can actually agree with that. I've actually I thought it was interesting, and I wanted to time it at one point. Watching someone in solo queue not recognize that that's a thing. You hold your flash for so long because you need it as a safety, and yet 9 times out of 10, you're only going to use it come like that mid game or with the ganks coming around. I appreciate the fact that we are seeing that spell sling very, very early at the current moment. Though it hasn't given you that much of a lead, Rebello is still sitting in a very comfortable position. You have burned through all the pots on the bot side, and considering both junglers are rotating from their red to blue, the only jungler that's going to be the area would be Curse come this 3.5 minute time frame.
Yeah, and I think part of that is just how well Rebello and Frosty have been playing just throughout the whole season. Even in a situation where, I think the game plan is pretty obvious from any Leona lane, which is like, we want to get that level advantage early. We want to, as soon as we hit level 2, if you aren't level 2, we're going to go in, we're going to beat your head in. Like, Leona, her game plan's pretty straightforward, and Rebello and Frosty just doing a good job to like, hey, we don't care that you're harassing us. We're just going to get our XP, keep things even. They're playing a very strong lane, and the stronger lane that they set up, the more, if they can get an early lead put into Rebello's hands, or even just make sure that lane is stable, it allows Frosty to move around the map, and he has had such a strong impact wherever he goes for Red Canids.
Mm-hmm. Well, Red have that idea as well. Samus rounding out, chasing down on the bot side, and actually going to meet the mines here for this early, for these early chickens. Samus recognizing that one, and it's the meeting of the junglers here. Will anyone rotate out? Fear goes down. Curse is still willing to battle because Kaze is leaning towards that bot side. Good shard to come out, and it's actually Miru that's forced away. This might put Samus into a really rough spot. It's not going to be first blood. No! Miru will go ahead and live. However, with Frosty in the area as well, that will be Curse to steal away camp.
Yeah, Curse is able to steal away the Raptors, and it's not a great back timing for Maru either. Which means essentially Kaze gets to just go home for free, and Miru is forced to burn the teleport. And because of that, you've seen this early pressure kind of go the way of Red Canids, able to steal away that jungle camp, able to catch some out of positions and force out that ever important teleport summoner spell. I thought that, with the the extra home guards and, with the upgraded boots for mid laners and the free teleport in the top lane, I was like, surely everyone's just going to be running like combat summoners, right? We're not going to be running like 4 teleports per game, and here we are with 5 teleports when you consider that the top laners get each one for free. It's just such a strong spell at a high level, being able to use it for that macro moment. Now they don't know that Frosty is not in this lane. They don't know that he's waiting here, and Kaiwing could get caught, but I think everyone's just gonna kind of rotate around one another. No fighting to be had quite yet.
I love that kind of juggle right there by Kaiwing as well, recognizing that, hey, there might be some danger abound. We see a little Coco Cup. It's one that you should recognize as, hey, a bard's in the zone, so you get that right idea. Frosty joins back down on the bottom side, Morteus eating a bit of damage, and we are going to be seeing those level 6s hit very quickly for a lot of these laners. Topside already hit, but for me to Samus, I want to see that level 6 being landed. I want to see that difference here. I want to see if that paranoia will be the game changer to kind of shift things into VKS's favor, because Miru is having some struggles. Very nice body block by Kaze, forces the flash out of Miru. The chase is on, charm dodge, but from downtown, FNB brings the storm, double knockup as well. But this might be the difference. A very nice red carpet being rolled out as the equalizer might get an answer back, and they are going to find the damage flash out by the Samus to keep themselves alive, and it's the burn from Bull to bring the battle. Bull turns it to a 2-for-1 in favor of VKS.
Yeah, I've been pretty critical of Miru so far today, and I gotta say that was a really smart play, recognizing like, hey, my top laner's on his way down, and I might not be able to necessarily survive this fight, but he just buys enough time for a very good equalizer to come over the top. A really good, rotation there from Boal to get in and just dish out the damage. This Rumble has been so strong, and that does pick up a kill both for him and his jungler. You can see here, Miru just like, he recognizes very early on, like, I need to get out of here. Uses that E to get away not only from the charm, but just barely dodges out on the Scion ultimate. And while he does, eventually go down, look how much time he buys. Samus is able to get in there, as well as Bull, and Bull is able to pick up that second kill there on Kaze, and that makes the play very, very worth it.
Yeah, I really think that stall was awesome. I mean, even the replay showed kind of the fancy feat that was being used. Mirror dodging just about every major ability that's going to bring you closer to death by a second, so I do appreciate that factor. Now, for Red, though, they're trying to do the exact same thing. Even though Bull got an advantage on the top side, Mir's still kind of down in the pits. You can see the CS differential now leaning into Kaze's favor. 151 CS, nothing too, 151 gold extra for yourself, not too bad, but we are going to see that expand unless we see VKS actually give Miru a little bit of help in there.
Yeah, he not a lot of resources. I think we're seeing this almost on like a global level. It's really hard to play for the mid lane at the moment. Just with all of the different options for vision now, it's generally harder for jungles to gank, and so with that lane kind of being the shortest, it is usually pretty tough for junglers to get in there unless there is a lot of setup and work going into it. And you see even with the last jump mid gank, sometimes it doesn't go your way. You're able to buy a lot of time. The mid laner is not necessarily always a super valuable target, and so there's been a lot of effort for ganks. Usually, often, I feel like going into the top side, we've seen I feel a lot of top ganks this season, which is somewhat unusual.
I mean, with the adjustment of a lot of carries up to the top side, we've seen the Rumble, we've seen the Jace, we've seen a lot of these champs be high priority. Not only that, it's melees usually, so you can get away with it. It doesn't make sense if all the other lanes are a little bit too difficult. Go for the one that is going to grant you the easiest access. Granted, not only that, for the Samus, any lane is a gankable lane when you have the paranoia, when you have that easy point and click, I'm going to fly at your face, which we're going to see right now. Right around in that center stage, we are going to see very, very poor action from this Pantheon. Try their best, but the revenge from Kaze is good. Use that extra Spirit Rush to dance on out of danger's path, but I don't know if you want to continue this fight. Morteus getting caught in the crossfire here as Rebello is looking for another piercing arrow to the backside. Portal comes out, Morteus starts swinging, but a flash to attempt to get the stun ain't gonna land. The root isn't what you need as Rebello fires that arrow, and it will be red to gather and match at a 3-kill total, 2 right there.
Yeah, it was really close. They had a good fight started, and they were able to pick off Curse, pretty early on in that fight, but they just gave up a few too many resources. Desamas went down as well, and so they weren't able to rotate down to help their ADC, and now it's a 2v1 on the top side.
I like it. You catch this rumble much earlier. You know they still don't have flash. The punish that you mentioned in the top side is huge. Nice pickup by Curse and FMB.
Yeah, and now it is red kind of firmly in the driver's seat. It expanded their gold lead, not to a massive amount, but to a nice start there at about 1,000 gold, and pick up that first dragon. On the flip side, VKS do grab themselves some grubs, so they are not completely walled out, and the kills are still pretty close. So it's been a bit of a back and forth, and that's not necessarily that each individual play has been super close margins, but one team gets the better of the other, then it flips around. And I think both teams I would imagine we're going to have a few minutes here of quiet while there's no objective on the board. And then we're going to see maybe something start to pop off around that dragon timer.
Well, the dragon down for another 2.5. We're seeing those readjustments come on in. Red have been very active on the map, it feels like. We get a replay here of, all the way back watching this fight break out, because it was a weird one. It was a nice little play coming in from VKS, but the answer from Red mirrors that of the Miru. The Miru team collapsed from VKS earlier on as well.
Yeah, and this is just the power of Bard, right? Is able to Magical Journey all the way up to get into that fight, and then Magical Journeys up to get another kill there for his ADC. And then off of essentially the respawn timer, this is the power of Pantheon. In a sense, it matches that paranoia, because you have the Grand Starfall to do what you need to do to get to those far positions and gank. And like you said, Ball didn't have flash at that time, so it was a very easy punish to find.
I like it. And the idea now that we are seeing Desamas maybe try and push the envelope a bit more. Now at 2-1. You want this Nocturne to start garnering not only those kills, but also that proactivity as we head now into the 12th minute. A lot of the quests are going to be starting to come through. Should see some completions very shortly and start getting those extra booms into your pockets. I'm looking at VKS. I think a few of them will have it a little bit earlier. I think down on the bot side, we're going to see Rebello hit it faster. But they don't have any boots. We haven't gone back to buy just yet. So it'll take a little bit more time. Looks like Rebello actually opted for the second item instead, trying to complete that Manamune a little bit faster.
Yeah, he's gonna go ahead and, like you said, complete the Manamune a little bit faster, and that is a good amount of extra poke damage for Rebello. And the thing is, for me, is that all of the items are relatively on even pacing. We see some slight leads, but none of the leads are large enough that we are half an item ahead. It's a component at most. You can see that Curse has completed boots while Desamas only has cloth boots, and in the top side, Ball has an extra potion from his runes. But now we have an insane snap engage, and that's Frosty just gone. He was on the screen and then he wasn't.
I mean, that's what you want to see. You mentioned earlier the Leona Kaiwing has been rotating around, trying to keep pace with Frosty, and this time they actually get the jump onto Frosty. I really like it. Desamas pulled that trigger, but now a chance back, as that's a huge charm to come out here. Kaiwing goes down without being able to do anything, but the turnaround might be big. Morteus throwing down a lot of the auto attacks, and here comes Mira as well. TP gonna kind of stall out, but a TP on the back end as well, so they just need to bring a little bit more time. Unstoppable Onslaught gonna be used, but take a look at this. Desamas goes down. Red carpet rolled out, but the equalizer lands way too far back. And Red have already drifted off the carpet and are causing mayhem in the ballroom. Well played for Red as they gather 2 kills and look so free. As it was a good attempt. Rebello a little bit faster on that flash to stay safe.
Oh man, a really tough fight there for VKS. They're very close to putting it all together. They had a really good engage to start. Even though it was their support that got caught out, their immediate follow-up, Desamas got back up in there and was just free hitting onto people as a melee. And it was really, really impressive, like their immediate response, like, hey, we're just going to immediately get off this dragon, we're going to start fighting. But as soon as that teleport came out and there was just nowhere nearby for their own top laner to get into, we're going to start here with the catch onto Frosty. He just gets caught by that solar flare, and the magical journey not going to be able to keep him safe. But when we come here, this is what I'm talking about. They just don't have their top laner nearby, and so by the time he can get close, everyone's already dead. And you mentioned, hey, if they can try and find the time to, let BloL get into position, let BloL catch up with them, but they just didn't have the health bars remaining. There was no spell shield left for Desamas, and essentially, as soon as one person gets caught by that CC, there's not much you can do to rescue them, right? There's no enchanter on this comp that's going to pull you out of a bad situation. If you get caught, you get caught. Even if they had their Leona, there's not much she can really do to save you.
Yeah, you're kind of stuck in this, you're stuck in this pit. Like, that's all it's going to be. So looking forward now for Red, you've garnered that advantage. You've gotten the dragon lead. You've gotten the dragon stacking. Now you got to play for the Infernal. The question is, where do VKS go from here? The original idea was to head towards that Herald, but again, good coverage by Red. They say, we know where you're going to go. We are going to deny you this factor, and we're going to push you out once more. I believe Frosty already looking at that extra trail behind, but the all-in from Kaiwing might be a little bit overdone. Desamas really doesn't want to step in to play. In comes that paranoia, but it shadows the likes of the unstoppable onslaught. FN brings the pay IA, and I don't even know what I was spelling because that hurt like a truck. Red lock that down.
They're playing later
as well. They're playing later. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Listen. They're not here, so I can't spell it out. Casters have a tough time reading. Another Chain of Corruption comes out.
Oh my!
You aren't gonna say they're nice Q outs. Still difficult to play.
Yeah, it just got a heck of a lot tougher there for VKS to play through this one. They were already behind, and I think kind of an ill-advised engage there from Kaiwing. His team wasn't in the proper position to immediately follow up, and while he did get in there and get his CC down, I'm not sure that it was necessarily onto a priority target, and he lost so much of his health bar, and he did get out at first, but you see his team feels so committed. You get onto the Bard, now what? Right?
Yeah.
You would have liked to have seen him obviously get onto, and he lands a good solar flare, but a great Bard ulti. I think that has to be said. The Frosty's Bard is very, very good, and that Bard ulti saves two of his carries from that engage after the solar flare. And so it wasn't a necessarily terrible fight for VKS, but they're losing on the margins, and they're losing kind of convincingly every time. They need to shake something up and take a different approach here.
Well, I also think you can actually, we get a nice little charm in and a catch. I mean, that's just Bull going down. A big part about this as well is it feels like VKS just weren't willing to commit either, right? That you saw the hesitancy, and it actually led to the rest of the team falling. And the way the fights have been breaking out, it's only going to empower Red. You even saw the coaching staff in the back line. I love how excited they were, and you can even tell they're like, VKS, what are you doing? Why are you standing here? You're giving us free gold to play with at this point. You're looking at a 2.3, 2.4k lead, and it's only going to continue with Dragon up in about a minute. That's an Infernal to play for, and Red will have all the power to put themselves on Soul Point.
Yeah, they have kind of their run of whatever they want to do on the map, and right now there's not really much fine. Miru gonna ult in on FNB, but I don't think this is a good fight. I don't think he wants this.
Nope. There is almost no out for you as you try and dance back. I mean, Kaze's going to help out. Yeah, Miru, you grab a feather that's going to just be handed over to FNB. That's a rough spot. Kaze even jumping in their seat, but hold up. Might be a response. Quick dash in. Solar Flare's going to whip, though, and there's another extra Spirit Rush. Rest of the team coming in here. TP a little bit late. Are you going to have the value? Tempered Fate isn't going to land, but it splits the entire map. Oh, my God. We tried to look at a different spot, but we're right back into the mix. Bowl goes the wrong direction, and Curse shuts you down. It's not a curse. It's a generational at this point. Bowl is gone. Recognizing the rest of EKS are lambs to the slaughter. Kaze the king runs the show, and it's Red with 4 in tow.
Yeah, that's a huge increase to their gold lead. They don't lose anyone. They don't really expend that many expensive resources. A couple of ultimates, and not really even most of their flashes. They try and get on to that Ahri, but Ahri's such a slippery champion, so survivable for a mage just because of that mobility. While no one gets hit by the Tempered Fate, it still does its job enough because it forces them to reposition awkwardly. They can't run back to their tower, and just the follow-up from Red is so good. And we go immediately back out to another Kaiwing death. Been a rough game for VKS. Only going to get rougher, and at this stage, there's really not much VKS can do to actually contest. They just need to survive long enough that they can force a bad fight, make like, you know, Red makes mistakes in 20 minutes. Red will make mistakes. We've seen it happen. But I don't know if VKS is going to have that kind of timeline. We're seeing, look at the individual gold differences, about a full item's worth of gold on some of these players, you know, 2,000 between them and their opposite. That's quite a bit, not to mention all the extra stats that they've picked up from those 3 dragons. Going to be very, very tough to play this one through.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit surprised that FMB doesn't have a gold lead when you're 3-0-5 and up about 5 CS. It's quite surprising to see. But, I mean, we're seeing poor Miru. Miru try his best to fight, and it's just like, look, you might not have the gold lead, but we're going to have a little bit more. Miru now getting jumped on as Ross actually jumps back, recognizing that Miru still has a little bit of damage, and if you overstep, you're in trouble. So I like this kind of position you have. Now you bait out to allow Curse to come on in, and a final spear to the back of the head leads to yet another death. We are quickly approaching that 12k lead that they had before, but so far it's only 6.6. I do believe that for Red, we do want to see them start working down some of these towers with this amount of a gold lead. It's more about taking the rest of the map, breaking the VKS base, instead of just garnering that gold more and more.
Yeah, that is the one thing where VKS still have 2 of their tier 2 turrets. They still have a tier 1 there in the bot lane, and with quite a few plates left on it to boot. And so they have some map position to play through, but on the flip side, they've only taken a single turret, and it is that tier 1 on the bot side, which I think is one of the least valuable turrets, in my opinion. You really want to, you know, focus your efforts on that mid lane tower if you can. And that for me is like where this is rough. Is there's a lot of I think it got popularized the world as that kind of vibes based tempo, and it doesn't feel like VKS have a position to play through, right? Like, they're not out of this game certainly, but they're down quite a lot, and it just doesn't, like, where do they go? It doesn't feel like they have any space to breathe on the map.
No, and it's even worse when you know their composition is very much a go forward comp. The entirety of VKS, they are just like, they have to go forward if they want it to work, right? There's almost no variables to be able to break away, be able to scatter. Everything about them screams go forward. And when you're not allowed to go forward, everything else just kind of falls away, which is why we're watching this sort of mid-wave push. You can see Dasama's hiding off on the wings, just hoping for an opportunity, but it just isn't going to come. So do we just wait and see if Red are just going to bring another team fight? Do we actually see them push the base? Like, where does this game-breaking moment occur for either side?
It has to be around one of those major objectives. VKS just need to find the timing and positioning to, you know, get somewhere where Red feels that they have to fight, even if it's a necessarily rough position. That's it's a really long list of kind of caveats and prerequisites that you need, and it's gonna be really hard to find. I imagine the big one is like, can we just force a flip at Baron? We no longer have the Otacon on the map for teams to throw around, but Baron still does much the same thing, right? It shreds those resistances, it provides quite a bit of damage. And so if you can find Red taking perhaps an ill-timed Baron, some sort of mental mistake, if they get a little overconfident, that could be a chance for VKS to strike back.
Let's see if that moment appears. Right now, it's damage duty. At this point, VKS trying to do damage control. Get a little bit more for themselves. Get some more gold in their pocket. Morteus, 1 and 4. Miru, 0 and 3. Both down well over 1.4k. For Dasamus, sitting at just 2 items. Curse, 2.8 up. Looking at that BS sword. Looking at a near full item above. Red Canids, they have to recognize that they are in the lead, and they're going to use that lead to try and secure a 90% clear of that dragon. Only a 10% chance for VKS, I feel here. If they do, that Infernal Soul will be a pain to deal with.
Yeah, because we've seen it a few times. What Red Comp has been truly good at: you misposition, or you overextend, or they just find a way to catch you. You're not gonna last very long. I think most notably it's happened to Miryu twice in the top lane, where he's just kind of overextended, and once they get on top of you, the damage that they can put out very quickly is tough to deal with. And like you said, Infernal Soul's only going to amplify that huge burst of damage that comes with an Infernal. Gonna be tough to deal with, and it might be Kaiwing who is going in, actually.
I mean, they do, but look, they barely make a dent, and it's just desperation. Bull now in the wrong spots, has to flash away after TPing in, and I've never seen a more desperate team. I will be quite honest, at least in this game. It's a rough spot to be in. Miru getting danced on, Charm lands on the backside. And their split focus is real. Desamas, though, hopping over the wall, trying to get a little bit of an advantage. And you jumped a little bit too quickly. Now Desamas flashes away. And there's no way to play as Kaze rolls over the wall. That will be the soul and more for Red Canids as they chase the rest of the bodies. Vivo Keyed stars turning into stars on the map. As that will be 4-0 once again.
It's a 5-0. Kaiwing just died so early on in the fight that he respawned before his team died. And it's, for me, VKS, the big word I kind of want to use, they just look disorganized. Like, this is not the team that we, came to know and love the last split, where they were like, they just were this team that would like find tiny little mistakes and punish you for making them. And a lot of teams make tiny mistakes, and so they could just capitalize on that. They're the team that's just kind of just doing stuff to do stuff, in a sense. You saw that Kaiwing, he's very late here. He's going to go down to this try, and he doesn't have to engage. No one's really going for him, but he sees the enemy team. He sees where Frosty is, and he says, if I don't press E, if I don't engage, they're going to engage me. And with their comp, I don't want to be engaged first. But that just leads to a lot of disorganization, right? You can see the equalizer came down in that fight, but like, on who? It's damaging the dragon, like TY4 leash, I guess. Desamas tries to go over the wall, but to do what? 1v5? There's no coherent plan during these fights. It doesn't feel like they are working as a team. They're 5 skilled individual players, but Red are also 5 skilled individual players, and they're a cohesive, coherent team.
Why would you do that to him? No. The sad. Bull died again. Bull died again. We've broken the ball one too many times in the China shop.
Are we going to learn how to ball died? And the better question, in my opinion, is, does it matter?
No, absolutely not. How much do you think he's worth right now?
Like, I mean, he's 5-1. He's farming it like a little bit. So, I mean, he's probably worth like 200 gold.
200? I'd give it 150 tops right there. Like, it is a rough time for Bull, who is just on that receiving end. And I gotta agree with you, these are tough times. We're seeing the likes of VKS attempt to, but it's disorganized, it's dysfunctional. But we appreciate the effort. It's an A for effort. Rough score on everything else. Mid lane being the action play here for the side of Red. They've gotten the Baron in the time that we were watching the replay. They burned it down super quick, and now they get to look a little bit further. It's a 1-4 play, as well as FNB push the top side. A quick rotation will allow this tower to fall just as quickly, and VKS are starting to recognize there's only so many times that we can get. We are going to watch the bot side, as now
okay,
Bull
we do see how Bull died.
Like, oh gosh, okay, let's see. How much gold does he get? That's the question. I couldn't tell. That makes me sad.
Does it matter? Frosty got it.
No, it doesn't. Hey, support lives matter too. Support lives matter, okay?
This guy has one item, and it's Locket. And like, beyond that, his existence is like, yeah, I catch people. I press R sometimes.
By the way, look at the bounties. Look at the bounties. These are outlaws of Red Canids fighting 700, 700, 700, 694. I don't even know how you hit that number. The only one that doesn't have anything over 200 is the freaking Bard. Red Canids are swinging 3K worth of bounties into VKS's face, and they do not care. Top side inhibitor going down, mid lane inhibitor going down, Super's not even close, and yet with the Baron power play, expiring here real quick, Red have opened up VKS's base.
Yeah, it's almost like hard. I feel like, okay, my job as a color commentator is I show up and I analyze the game situation and I tell the players at home, this is what like really matters, right? There's a lot of things going on the screen, but here's the numbers that are important. Red's just punching VKS in the face and then like throwing them in the toilet and giving them a swirly. Like there's no analysis here. There's a big bully and he's beating up a bunch of poor purple boys. There's not much to really talk about, Orbital. It feels like every step VKS takes is the wrong one, and every step Red takes is the right one, and that honestly is more important to me. Red is playing, obviously VKS feel disorganized. I saw someone, I think it was Lunar Day in chat, said it's the three-headed Hydra meme, but they're all the goofy head.
How do you get a fourth head in there too? It truly is, everyone just being a little bit goofy, being a little bit silly, and no one recognizing that, hey, we're all a little bit goofy. Maybe we should. But
Red are the opposite. Red are playing a calculated game. Maybe that rant from Talkers really got through to them of like, oh man, we really did mess up against Loud. We can't do that again. He's gonna get real mad.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. Right now, Red trying to put the final touches on this game. It's a single tower and a single inhibitor left standing in their way. They want a clean victory. That's going to be the call down, though. Equalizer onto the top side, but the Temper Fate slows them all down. On the back side, we're seeing FMB tank it all up. And guess who didn't die? It is once again Rebello standing at the forefront or at the back side with Kaze stepping forward. Quick assassination onto poor Miru's life. And it is Red Canids to say we lost to Loud last week. We ain't losing here, and they push themselves to a 5-1 scoreline here at the opening of Super Week.
And 16k goal lead, 28-4 kill score. Can't a Dragon Soul sweep. I mean, you can't ask for much more of a textbook game. That's why obviously, I think the VKS has a lot of questions that they need answered. There's a lot of like, hey, what are we doing here? But for Red, it shows like that's really good growth. They didn't just win this game because they outhandsed you and just they beat you in every fight. They did do that, but they also won because they were in the right position on the map. They played that siege properly. They just bided their time and waited for the moment. I think you could see the smiles on the guys' faces. They know that they played an excellent game of League of Legends today, and they're pretty happy about it. Like, on the flip side, VKS, that last fight there is honestly, for me, the best fight they had all game. Despite the fact that they lost 5-0 in that fight. They were down 14k gold. Like, the expectation that they might win that fight is, pretty ludicrous. But they understood, like, we're in this position that we find an angle, we have to take it. Because otherwise, you're just losing, you're just letting yourself bleed out slowly. And we'd rather just slowly suffocate. We'd rather, take the swift end. And maybe in that heroic charge, instead of getting cut down, you actually find, your angle back into it. And they almost did. They really almost did. But another great Bard ult from Frosty. And that's that. I mean, that everyone on Red played an excellent game. And again, Frosty has been in peak form all season.
I don't often get to say this as well. I haven't really seen a game end in a professional league where we see 4 of the players hosting a 700 gold bounty. That means that they basically from minute 15 onwards played a perfect game. You sat there and have a 700 gold lead, means you shut out the opponent in so many different factors. Amazing work from Red, a team that we now see as the top of the standings. With this as well, Red have pretty much locked in their playoff bye position. Whether it's first or second is going to be the real question here, which will actually be answered tomorrow, I do believe. But that'll be it for game number 1. Game number 2 on the horizon, which will also be a lot of fun. We are going to have Furia versus Fluxu W7M, and I really don't know how that one's going to turn out. We'll be right back with some more CBLOL English in just a bit. In what will probably be the second bloodiest game of the day, we have FourY4 versus Fluxu W7M, and I'm very excited to see what goes down. Fluxu have attempted to pull off something a little bit different, have traded out quite a few of their roster members, and so far it hasn't really taken hold so far. Currently sitting at a 1-4 record, needing to bounce back and get some sort of victory under their belt, as they will be playing in the play-ins. You can see right now Fluxu sitting at the bottom of the pile along with Leviathan, and it's not looking great for them right now.
Yeah, and they're going to have to compete with FourY4, who, again, it's much in kind of a similar vein to VKS, where there's still some questions. They were an excellent team last year, had a bit of a third split collapse. You know, there was a lot of talks about this new training schedule that they weren't quite used to. And in addition, you know, they lost ThinkCard, and I think that is proving to be a bit more of an issue than people first gave it credence for, because FourY4 still looks excellent mechanically. They still have 5 really top of their position players on their team, but they're struggling to execute kind of macro-wise as a team, making good decisions, and that is where, you know, a good coach can make all the difference. That's not to discredit FourY4's current coaching staff. They were all there during the ThinkCard era. They all contributed quite a lot, but ThinkCard's one of those coaches that like really can change things up, and I think for FourY4, this game doesn't matter all too much in terms of the standings. They, with VKS having just lost, they just need to beat VKS in their head-to-head tomorrow. But I think it means a lot to FourY4 personally. There is some like personal stakes in the matter for them to, you know, prove that they are still a team worth watching, a team worth supporting, and ultimately a real threat in the league.
Yeah, and I mean, especially when you're playing against someone that has a 1-4 record, just on paper, you really don't want to lose this one. You still have some other matches, I think, later on. Obviously, there's one more match for them to be played, which is going to be, if I'm double-checking and looking at my math, it is VKS specifically. Yep. VKS obviously taking a loss a little bit earlier. So this is the best time for Furia to kind of bounce forward. If you take this victory and then the next one, you will have locked in your top 4 seeding as well, and that can be a huge boon for you. So let's go ahead and take a look at the draft here. We are dropping right on in. A couple bans came out, the Jace, the Aatrox, and the Varus coming out for Furia's side, and it looks like for Furia they chose blue side, whereas no, yeah, that is correct.
Yep.
My brain didn't want to work. It looks like Fluxu opted for first pick as they draft the Azir and the J4.
Azir coming out first, not super surprising. House has a very, very good Azir. Obviously, the red, or not red one, but second pick, for second team to pick, first pick, man, there's no good way to refer to these picks. It used to be just red one, blue 2, red 2. Now yeah. It's team B1, but not blue 1, B side 1. First pick Rumble.
I still feel we can refer to them as B1 R1. Like, it's not the worst in the world considering they are still blue side, red side. It's just good luck everyone else out there. I don't know. Like, you're on your own at that point. So, taking a look here.
Picking that Rumble in, one of your earliest picks is just been really, really powerful. It's one of the big reasons I'm excited to get back into best of series at the end of this Super Week with the play-ins is that we're getting Fearless back. And my goodness, Fearless, like, there was a lot of questions on it. Does it even do anything? Is it even worth it? And then having gone back to this best of 1, which means effectively we're in a world without Fearless, we're just getting, the same comp for the most part every game. I miss Fearless dearly.
Yeah, well, right now what we are missing are maybe the least aggressive of the mid lane champions. We go ahead and grab the Corki and the Akali on opposite sides, which does mean that House as well as Tuts are going to be flying at each other quite often. This is a very volatile matchup that the junglers, I think, will want to actually get into the mix of. And now we get to see the bans. The Cassante banned away against Curdy, who Curdy has actually used that only once or twice, but not the biggest threat in the world. The Nico on the other side, though, banned out against JoJo, not having that reliable engage of sorts, and now another tank to be banned away, the Scion, no more scaling in the top side.
Yeah, I kind of like this. Curdy was once upon a time kind of like Mr. Solo Bolo in the top side. He would never really translate it much to like big team fights, but there was like a couple of splits where we wondered like, hey, maybe this guy has potential because he would just take people to task kind of one-on-one. And they're banning out a lot of the things that could have a chance of surviving against the Rumble, right? The Scion with a bunch of MR gets his own, free health pool. He can actually kind of just survive the Rumble pretty comfortably with enough magic resist. Obviously, the Cassante has the ability to like get onto him and actually kill the Rumble back. And so they're taking away a lot of the good options. They're saying, hey, Curdy, we don't think you have anything for Gigo there in that top side, and we want you to try and prove us wrong.
Yeah, I like it. At the same time, we're seeing some aggression come out in the other lane as well. This is a treat. The Yunara is now going to force very aggressive champions here, as that might be...
That's Aurora top.
That truly comes in. It is. Okay, so the Azir mid with the Aurora top side leans into a very magic-heavy composition with the Corki doing the exact same. And now it's up to this last support. What are you going to grab for Furia?
The Corki is gonna have to provide like a lot of the auto attack based damage with the Spellblade, the extra the extra true damage to come in on top of that. It's pretty low range, but they have like a lot of long range through the mages to make up for that. Meanwhile, on the other side, like I said, something that can't, gets really strong later, but can't get aggressive in lane, especially with that Rel, is the Yunara. And I feel like, oh man, playing Rel into Pro Delta is like kind of mean almost, don't you think? That's the pick when I think about Pro Delta, and I think about him on like Pain Gaming when he was this exciting young rookie, and we were like, he's gonna be the guy. This is the future of support in Brazil. I think of him on Rel, and Pro Delta's not had a good run of it, I feel like, the last few splits. So individually, a lot here to prove for Fluxu. Can Curdy, with a very aggressive topside pick, right? Not a tank, not much survivability, but can do quite boatloads of damage. Can he prove that he's still got what it takes to 1v1 a guy in the topside? Can Pro Delta, survive those engages? And I think for Furia, it is just, hey, we think we're the better team. We're just going to play a pretty straightforward game plan. We have some fun picks, right? We have Akali, we have Yunara. We have a Rel. They're not necessarily like the super meta picks, but you know, we have a chance to branch out. We have a chance to test some things. Might as well go for it against Fluxu W7M. And if you're Fluxu, you got to take offense to that. You got to, you know, my Fluxu's rage. Come on, get out there and show them what's up.
Yeah, we say that, and then they do, you know, the same stuff they've done for 4 out of the 5 games so far. So can't really say too much there. Got to show the love of the crowd, everyone turning on in for this game, and I love the explanations, maybe going across saying, look, listen, we got a tough one. Furia's got to win this one if they want to stay on the top contention. For Fluxu, got to get a win if you even want to look like a decent team moving into those play-ins. It's always pretty tough. And then you got the loud voices here. Furia, rise on up for all the fans in there, showing love to some more as well. That is for Pain, of course, who, I don't know why you're wanting to wear that jersey, but, you know, love is love for a team.
Pain Gaming has one of the, like, loudest, you know, most historic fan bases in Brazil, which is why it's so tough to laugh at them all while they have to watch their poor 0-5 team. I look, here's the thing, right? I think it's fun to get your ribbon on any team. Any team that's doing poorly is gonna get chipped. But I think for a lot of fans, with the size of Pain's fan base, with, you know, the general kind of like pseudo success Pain has had, not a lot of titles, but a lot of very successful like regular seasons. A lot of, you know, good players have come through their halls. I think a lot of people are very eager to finally get their chip in on Pain. Like, you're finally bad. It's like you know, now that the Buffalo Bills have fired Sean McDermott, not a team that's won a whole lot, but like, gosh, if the Buffalo Bills are terrible, people are gonna let them know.
For anyone that doesn't follow mainstream sports, I don't know what to tell you. Good luck knowing that reference. So that was rough right there. Looking at this bot lane, we do get to see JoJo and IU stepping on up. We were mentioning before the turnaround timers on those summoner spells. It is a chance and a half of, you know, watching, you know, some of these players take tower shots. And for Tuts, that's a rough one, especially in a range versus melee. Got to wait till level 3 before you can actually kind of play the game there. So we'll see exactly how this kind of plays out here. But at the current moment, lane matchup staying the same. Both junglers, though, not splitting the map a little bit, not going cross. It is going to be a bot side to top side for these two.
I don't see a whole lot of ganking getting done here in this bot side without the setup, but they do have the setup, but not early on, not at that level 3. You really want those both those junglers really want their ultimates for, you know, for the J4. It really helps, like, just secure and engage. You just lock them in the Cataclysm, and what do? They're not going to leave. And for the Pantheon, you know, Grand Starfall is a nice, like, global tool. And so both of them, I think, are going to be content to travel to this top side. If they happen to find someone out of position, these aren't champs with an insane amount of movement. The Aurora a little bit more mobile than the Rumble, but not necessarily going to just be able to whittle their way out of a terrible position. I think both junglers are going to be content to just reset, clear for a little bit. The fighting is going to come from our laners, and they seem to be doing it early and often. You mentioned Toots taking that tower shot. How's, you know, kind of attempting to punish, but now it is How's having to kind of eat some damage here from the minions, and it is Toots who has taken that level advantage.
I like that. You know, I think it's also an understandable damage take. I was just making sure to get that wave in a freeze and force Tuts to expend more to get less. JoJo, though, looking to get a little bit of mix. Nice hook, but then you turn around. Pro Delta gonna eat that damage, but nice a little Gatling gun from Bao to slow them down. Will be a Scuttle meeting, though. This was something that we kind of watched for. Peach actually diverging away from the Scuttle game. There's another hook to come out here. JoJo having to crash down away from the enemy side. Everyone getting a little bit antsy here in this game.
And Perdelta actually used that heal preemptively, trying to give them just that little extra bit of movement speed to get in there and force that engage. Does not come through, but it is Peach able to pick up the Scuttle, and he's waiting in the wings. JoJo and IU don't yet know about him, but are playing cautiously. They might have seen him on that pixel brush there in the middle of the river.
I'm not gonna lie, this feels like way quieter than I thought it was gonna be. We said bloodbath, I was so amped up for it, and it's just like first 4 minutes, nothing. Ain't nobody going
I feel
down.
like both teams, like we said, they picked a lot of lanes. Like the junglers don't want to quite do anything yet, but they picked a lot of lanes that kind of just want to fist fight. And because of that, they don't want to fist fight. Like they're like, yeah, but maybe my champ wants to fight their champ, but their champ wants to fight my champ. And that I could give them like gold, and that's bad.
Yeah. We got 7 rounds to go, and we're on round 1. Don't burn out in the early stages. I get it. At the same time, ultimates might be a big tick upper as well. Once Tuts gets the perfect execution, we could see the all-ins. We could see the equalizers coming out. So those breakpoints could be the turning for a lot of these months as well. Dragon is now up. It's Infernal to start. Big Dragon for either jungler to chase for. Considering they're on their second clears right now, I don't know if they're going to be reaching for that anytime soon. But it might be one to look for and play for. Either bot lane gets a little bit over aggressive.
Yeah, Peach is just a little bit further ahead on that clear. You can see he just reset, is heading back towards that top side, whereas Tatu is just now clearing out the Gromp. And so Peach might have a little bit of that advantage coming through, is now heading towards the Dragon. We might actually get to see, Fluxu make that first move, because they're setting up, they're getting around the map first, and it is Tatu that's now gonna have to rush out from base. They do have vision, so they know where Peach is, and both teams are now heading their bot sides, getting prepped for this, Dragon Pit, and it is Tatu that's gonna be second to respond. But I don't think it's not gonna be on Fluxu to commit to it.
Well, tags in the top side. Ego running away as quickly as possible. Bot side, though, is where the action's occurring once again as the junglers appearing. Peach is here first. Flag and Drag not going to be used, and IU gets a lot of free poke down. And neither team wanting to commit. This feels like a very safe play, and Rose, our producer here at CBLOL English, predicting a Fluxu win, and I might laugh in your face here in a sec. However, Peach might make you a profit. Good jump in, though, by JoJo and the rest of the squad. It's going to be a tough blow to the back of the head, though, because Tuts was on the way. Fluxu cannot continue.
Okay, so this is not us. Technical difficulties over in Brazil, perhaps, but we're gonna power through it. I think Rose's influence is corrupting the timeline. They're upset that we don't believe in the powers of the Fluxu, but it is coming to be true. The first blood going over to that Yunara. Even Rose's corrupted influence could not save poor Prodelta from his fate, which is just really to die in the silliest way possible. Prodelta, please stop doing that.
That actually came from Bren's soul, by the way. Just like, please stop doing that. Came from, like,
he was my favorite player for so long, and then he just started running it down, and I was like, hold on.
Oh, we get a replay. Yes, do it to him this way.
So what happens is Prodelta takes this hook, but it's on to JoJo. JoJo's just body blocking for IU. And the thing is about the Rel Lance is that once that stun is thrown, once it started, it's really hard to interrupt. Like, even if you get displaced, most abilities do not stop you from throwing that stun regardless. So all Prodelta does is just hook himself directly into a stun, and he just has to sit there and kind of deal with it.
That's a good way to put it. But we get back to the game. First blood isn't the end of the world. It can be, but it's not. So we'll see if anything does change. We do get the grub fight here. Peach trying to gain a little bit of an advantage. Smites away one of the grubs, and now Tatsu is in the wings. Good flag and drag out, though, so Tatsu will gain 2 for themselves. Nice little exchange there from the junglers. As mid lane, we're seeing a fight of the supports. Nice little ding between the two.
Yeah, it was so cordial there, right? Tatu was like, no, I'll wait. You can fight the grubs if you want. And then, he waited for Peach to get his flag and drag. Peach was like, oh, no, sir, these are your grubs. I was just keeping them warm for you. And then, politely steps out the back of the pit. A very good, cordial conversation. Lots of manners from our Brazilian junglers today.
You may go first. No, you may go first. It is up to you if you wish to do so. There are so many little ways to do so. However, again, it's not about being cordial. It's not about being a gentleman. It's about getting that win at the end of the day. And for FourY4, it might be a slow start. We're about 9 minutes into the game, and we only have a 1k lead, barely any damage on any of the towers. It really does feel like they're taking this very, very slow road in to this game, and don't want to overstep, don't want to make any mistakes. But I do wish we had a little bit more Fury in there. I wish that we had a little bit more chaos because of the comp that they have drafted. It makes me sad that this Akali is 0-0 and 0 only with a CS lead in the mid lane right now.
Yeah, I would have liked to see the teams fist fight a little bit more. A lot of that gold coming from that first blood. You can see that IU's 600 gold up despite being down a little bit of farm on Bao, just because they did restore getting extra gold for first blood, because the feats of strength are no longer a function in the game. And it is that first dragon, an Infernal Dragon, no less, over to FourY4. They're going to be pretty happy about that. And a Cloud Drake up in 5 minutes. That's one I think both teams would like to get on hand. A very, very good Drake movement speed. A very, very powerful stat on the Rift. Being able to set up before your opponent is a good strategy. If you just get set up, entrenched in a position, it's very difficult to push in there with most comps. And we've, like you talked about, it being a slow game, both teams are just kind of pushing it back and forth. I'm hoping here that as we kind of start to get to these first item breakpoints, you can see that IU already has his Kraken Slayer, is almost finished with his call getting, which would allow him to get some extra gold and start on that second item. You can see that the Sundered Sky has been completed for Peach, so we are starting to get to that point where some of these picks are going to get quite a bit of power with some items online. We might see teams being a little more willing to fight around that.
Have that confidence booster of an extra item, have that ability to say, okay, we have the damage, we can lock them down. But for the moment, Tuts getting a spear to the back of the head. Quick jump in, though, and a nice shift as Tuts gets that shifting sands. Well done on that flip to maneuver their way out of the angle. Tuts able to survive with the perfect execution. And now that's the first real ultimate exchange that we've seen thus far. At level 9 and 10, by the way, that's crazy. Now it's another chance though on the far end. Peach gets caught a little bit by Jojo inside of the jungle, but her Peach doesn't want to go any further, says someone should be lurking, backs away very quickly.
Yeah, we finally see that exchange, and it's a good exchange from House. He ultimately, gets the better of that. Obviously, they both just did exchange their ultimates, but Tuts forced to leave. House gets to set up the wave in the position he wants it before he does so. And so he's now going to get back to lane very comfortably. I think he performed, really, really well during that engage. Tuts obviously having to use the perfect execution to get away. But now without the Emperor's Divide, is Tuts going to be willing to get a little bit more aggressive? Obviously does not have the perfect execution himself, but, can do a little bit more without fear of just being flung into the enemy backline.
Yeah, given a chance at escape is what I like to say. IU and Jojo, though, given a bit more space. Once again, just tagging people over the wall and just seeing what you can get. I almost expected a higher count as well in terms of the CS differentials, but the CS has actually been relatively the same. Everywhere across has been within about a wave and a half of each other. No one has had an explicit lead. So it's very curious to me as Jojo looking for a chance, crash down, doesn't really land on anyone, and a stab in the dark is a little bit off. Top side though, Gigo, it's a pretty comfortable exchange into Courteous force out of the top side lanes. So you talked about that fist fight earlier, and we are seeing it once more, but this time we're pushing a little bit closer to a knockout.
Yeah, we started with jabs, right? We had a couple of jabs, and one of them caused Fluxer to stumble a little bit, got that first, that first blood going over. But now we've got the role quest coming. We're at the 12-13 minute mark, and you can see most of the players starting to complete their quests. And now that there's no risk that, oh, well, if I die and I am outside of lane, I'm not only losing gold for minions, I'm not only losing XP, but I'm also losing progress on my quest. Maybe people are starting to get a little more aggressive. So now we've gone from jabs, we're going to crosses now. We're throwing some decent cross-body punches. Not quite going for the haymaker. Set still a little bit unhappy, but at least, he says that jabs are for lightweights. If you're throwing, throw them hard. And I think we might see a couple people ready to back that up. as we're clearing out vision. We're getting ready for this Cloud Drake that's up in only a minute. And that I'm hoping to see some fighting. I don't know if it's where we'll get some fighting. I'm not going to prognosticate. I'm not going to make this grand assertion that we will get a 5v5 team fight around second Drake or anything. But I'd like to see it. I would love to see both teams just clash together and see who's got it.
Yeah, maybe a couple leg sweeps in there to show that it's not just boxing, it's a little bit more MMA side. You know, get the leg sweeps, get the ankle kicks, you know, break your own ankle doing it. If you ever seen that clip, don't look.
Don't see that clip.
Those are rough. Those are rough. 30 seconds on Dragon though, and we might actually see Furia rotate and move on in. We do have a status of every single quest being completed. So now it's a question of where do you go from here, right? Dragon is available as we just mentioned. Baron is up, or Herald is up in a couple seconds as well. But this will be the first real clash. This won't just be a clash of the players, but it'll also be a stat check of epic proportions. Let's see how it goes as Peach gets knocked out of the flag and drag. Able to get there in time, but Pro Delta currently caught in the Magnet Storm. Nice depth charge being used to knock everyone else back up. And then a turnaround with that Cataclysm only on one. Tuts goes in though, and is locked and burned away. Auto attacks landing very hard. How's trying their best to lock down some more damage, and Fluxu actually getting the better in some of these fights. And it's because it's a 4v5. You can see on the top side, Gigo didn't want to join, so it's Dragon to Fluxu.
Dragon gonna go over to Fluxu, and like you said, Gigo is just more than happy to start pushing away that top tower. Doesn't really care about what's going on for his team, but you know, Curdy says, well, I've got 2 teleports. I can teleport up to that top side and not gonna lose the tower. I'll lose out on some gold. You can see Gigo took quite a bit of a gold lead. What's interesting to me is IU hasn't picked up any extra kills, and he only has 3 more farm than Bao. But if he must have had his support or his ADC quest completed for quite a bit longer than Bao, because he's got a 1.6k gold lead, which isn't making a lot of sense to me.
Well, Jojo said, you know where that gold is, not in my pocket. Burns down to 50%, but it will be Tatu getting a little bit of help on that Herald. So a give and a take on either end, an exchange of global objectives. They're taking their paces. I will say for Furia, they have somehow doubled their gold lead. I actually don't understand how they've done this. I really haven't seen anything that would explicitly
the farm is not
lead.
that different. There's the biggest one is in the top lane where Curdy left to secure the dragon, and so now Gigo's got about 3 waves worth of farm, and plates, I suppose, must be the big one. You can see that they have secured 3 plates in that bot side, as opposed to only 2, like 1 plate for Fluxu. Same in the top side, 3 plates for Gigo and only 1 for Curdy.
Oh, action, baby! Action with Gigo, top side! Holy crap!
As finally we got somebody.
No way. Is this a 3-2? Is this a 3-2? Let's go! Bao in the jungle gets a kill as well.
Jojo overstepping, and yeah, I was in the middle of diagnosing where we finally found this gold leads. Guys, it's the plates. They got plate gold. And Curdy said, sorry, not Curdy, but Gigo said, I'm gonna get a little bit more than plates up here at the top. Secures his kill, and Curdy's still down, and the tower is going to fall as well. First tower of the game cracked open, and that's a good milestone. A lot of gold there in the hands of Fury. Now, you know, Jojo died out in the river all on its lonesome, but like, nobody cares all that much. All of those plates going over to IU, who is 8.4k gold, which is quite a lot. You can see has the Fiend Hunter bolts as well, and the upgraded boots in the special item slot. Pro Delta might be the next to fall. He's gone, dude. These supports should not go in the bottom river.
At this point, it's a little dangerous and a lot more painful just to watch, I think is all it is. A TP out as you head all the way across the map. I don't know why you would do that, but sure, you know what? We'll go ahead and do that where Curry is as well. And Curdy and I'd actually leave mid lane a little bit more open. Bao in a weird spot where you're like, dude, I maybe needed a little bit of help here, but we just lost the tower for free. Feels a little bit bad as Fury is starting to put on the pressure. Top side fell, mid lane tower falls, and now Tuts in almost a 3-way sweep will gather a crap ton of gold for Furia.
And you know what, to me, what I'm loving about this game, for the action fans, you know, which myself is one, it's not great, but one thing I do love is this feels very vintage Furia. Like, Furia can always like outfight you. They have great players, but I feel like when Furia is at their best, they do this thing where they're not like hard winning the game. The stat line isn't going insane, but they're just quietly accruing pressure and gold. And then by the time you realize, oh wait, this Furia team is like dangerous, they've taken 3 towers.
Yep. It's a problem. Jojo, the only one that's really lost out on a lot of this. We're starting to see Fluxu get a little bit more explosive, though. Tuts flashing away, making sure to keep their HP bar high, and IU getting a lot of free poke down. These stat checks are coming a little bit faster as well, and I give a lot of credit to the fact that Fluxu are probably feeling like the game slipped away from them. We talked about how slow this early game was for about 12 minutes, and then all kind of exploded all at once. Furia locked down the towers, and then Fluxu are like, dude, we got nothing out of that. We lost 3 towers immediately, and now we have to play from behind. How do we do that? We need to start finding catches, and now we start seeing them inching forward for as much as they can get, with Dragon up at about 30.
Yeah, they're going to have to start, like you said, they're just looking for what they can get, but I think they need to play a little bit more aggressive to find it. Because at this point, Furia has kind of clearly demonstrated, like, okay, you guys want to play a slow, measured game? Yeah, we can do that. We're more than happy to. Because it was like this silent, insidious killer where they just accrued pressure, they accrued those gold lead off of the plates, just slowly crashed in 1 or 2 more waves than you. Sure, you're getting the CS, but... Grand Star. We don't have time to commentate these kills. Here, Orbital, it's a team fight. Go.
No, it's not a team fight. It's a selection of kills. That's all we're watching here. Peach gets an assassination on the back end. Pro Delta's going to get assassinated there as well. In goes the hop between the realms. Curdy says welcome to the Thunderdome, but Jojo says I'm gonna get a little bit of revenge. Follows through on the answer, and Tuts brings the blades as that's Furia to lock down 4. That will be the finish. It's an ace for Furia here as Fluxu. I don't know what the hell just happened.
We were like, okay, Furia's playing this, like, they had this silent, insidious game, and then they just got a pick in the top side, and just, they're like, no, we can be explosive too. Like, we'll just do whatever we want. It starts out here, Hao's getting a little bit over aggressive into Gigo, does not have his teleport if he was gonna try and back away, so he's trying to find something on the top, but he forces it, he overextends, gets caught by 2 ultimates. And so then we have this in the bottom side. They know the Grand Starfall is there, but they know that Pantheon is coming, but they choose to go forward anyways. And Peach does find that kill onto IU. It's a good start, a lot of gold, a good shutdown. But here come Gigo and Tatu in the back. And so now it's a 3-on-3 and the health bars are falling lower. And the addition of Tuts just makes it impossible to move forward. Really good CC there from Jojo. And like that's just kind of how the rel is meant to be played, right? There's at no point did they feel in danger, and they just throw their body at the enemy team. A lot of CC to come through, and surprising even the members of Fluxu how that fight went.
I like the eyebrow raise. It wasn't anything else. It was just the eyebrow of, oh, we might have messed up, guys. Like that's a side eye oops. That was like, guys, we might have overstepped here. This is bad. We probably should have done that. It's like the mom that came down yelling at you, like, who left the food out? And you're just like, oh, sorry, I left my teammates out to dry. Oh, it's so good. Fluxu right now. This game has broken in the last 7 minutes of the game, and I have to give credit to Furia. As much as I called them being slow, you know, this game has been very quiet. They have very consistently built a lead. I do want to give them credit for that, and it has snowballed into massive gains, 6.4K for them. Give credit where credit is due. It was slow, but it was methodical, and it was off the back of Gigo, who is now 2-0-2, and Tatu, who is 4-0-2. These 2 players have made exceptional progress around the map once they were unleashed.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing to know, right? Sometimes games are slow because neither team like wants to do anything, or neither team knows what to do. And that's not what Furia were doing. They were playing a slow game because they wanted to play a slow game. They understood like what like their objectives were to win. They kind of figured, hey, look, we could fist fight them, but Fluxu aren't slouches in lane. They do have some skilled players. Maybe, okay, not all of them. I don't want to be like mean or drag anyone through the mud, but like they have some good players. We've seen the Bao can play out a lane decently. You know, Hao's obviously tends to be kind of an undervalued piece on whatever team he's on. He's usually pretty exceptionally solid as a solo player. And so instead of taking the risk, they said, hey, we know what we're doing from a macro perspective. We can accrue these small little bits of pressure. We get one extra wave crashed. Sure, they pick up the CS, but we're picking up the damage on these towers, slowly acquiring these gold leads. And once they had just enough to be like, okay, we're in a secure position where we hit our 2-item spike first, or we hit, this or that power spike first, now they're willing to fight because they are in a position where they're comfortable and ahead, and they can, instead of just flipping the game 50-50, throwing rocks at each other, they've gone and they've gotten a gun.
I like it. That gun goes boom, boom, and your lives go gone. It's a tough spot for Fluxu. They're fighting their hearts out, it feels like. They're trying. They recognize they need to make some moves. With the Baron up, as well as Dragon in about 2, and they lost that objective in terms of the objective pressure. I do wonder where they're going to start finding those leads. Where they're going to start finding those kills. It might be up in the top side against one of the most mobile enemies on the Furia end. Somebody a couple stabs in the dark. Tut's now jumping away. The Shroud is down. Peach has the opportunity and a nice step back and a flash out from Tuts. Perfect execution, baiting out a little bit more time. Dances backing around and they get the assassination. Are you kidding me? It's a 1-for-1 of the mid laners. Now the rest of the top side is going to jump on in. Curdy trying to bring a mess, but Gigo forces away Peach. And the rest of Fluxu W7M are just going to cook. It's a barbecue for Furia's side as they celebrate what could be their 4th win here. Gigo, the man, the myth, the legend, B1 on that Rumble, gifted the opportunity to lay waste to Fluxu W7M.
Man, I'm sorry. I'm like ill. That damage from Rumble is disgusting. Riot, nerf this champion. What are we doing? I was like, okay, yeah, they're fighting, and Curdy gets a combo down, and he did a little bit of chip damage, and then Gigo just turned on Flame Spitter, and Curdy evaporated. There's this process, okay, in physics called sublimation. When something turns directly from a solid into a gas, that's what happens to carbon dioxide. You don't usually see liquid carbon dioxide. It just turns from dry ice into gas. That's what just happened to anyone Gigo got on top of a Flame Spitter. They didn't melt. They literally just atomized. They were gone. You can see a lot of time bought and a great way to get in there. They trade kills on those mid laners, but at this point, the Gigo teleport is here. It's over for you. As soon as you saw those blue swirls on the map, yeah, it was over, because look at this. Jojo's fighting a 1v2 down here, and he buys enough time for Gigo to come over. We get out of the replay and we see it again. The damage from Gigo is a lot. He does give up his life though.
I wonder if Tuts is able to make some magic happen, and they do, so it's almost a revenge for the earlier status. However, Bao is able to come on in and play, but it's kills for kills' sake. Keep that in mind, because in mid lane we're seeing a push. It's a negative Baron power play for the current moment, but that will crush and expand over as Furia lock down this mid inhibitor tower. Very nicely done and very nicely played, as Curdy can't do anything about it. Eyes out for what more they can get, though, because my eyes could deceive. No other wave really in good position for this gathering, but it might be close enough. Still negative though, because Fluxu opted to say, we're not going to be able to save our tower, might as well even it up. Topside bounty was gifted over to the squad.
Yeah, I like we talk about kills for kills' sake. Yes, they got the topside tower. Yes, technically the gold is in Furia's favor, or sorry, in Fluxu's favor throughout this power play. I'm not going to get a chance to talk about this. We're going to get a fight again.
I mean, the fight is won for the ages, though, as Furia say, please give us a chance. For Fluxu, though, the assassination on the back end. Bao's getting a lot. Bao has been unleashed as they are 5-2-1. What a chance happening. It feels like this furious attempt at getting kills has lent itself to Fluxu getting the win. Curdy, though, is going to cook. Leandri's not going to burn away in time. And they found 3 on the back end for 1. Really well done by Fluxu.
Yeah, a really good play by Fluxu, and it does kind of bite into a little bit of what I was saying there earlier. But on the top side, I think Furia were fine taking that, that 2-on-3, because they didn't figure it would be a 2-on-3, and they had this. Pro Delta is gonna fall to Tuts. Not much the Nautilus can do in that matchup. on that top side, they were like, okay, there's no way that we can fight them if they overload this side lane. Sure, but if they overload this side lane, we're going to get a dragon and we're going to get an inhib. Furia, though, they fought here and they don't have Gigo. And like I said, Gigo is so much of their damage right now. And you pointed it out correctly. Look at Bao go. That guy is hurting people. The amount of damage, you know, that Corki can do with those spell blades, with that extra 15%, essentially, true damage is quite a lot. And you can see the build kind of reflecting that, playing around both the extra damage on crits and the extra damage on spell blades. You know, that kind of ability focus, but gets a lot of damage from weaving in those autos very regularly. Bao really evened up the gold lead between him and Ayu. I'll remind you that Ayu was up over like 1,500 gold, and now it's only like a 700 gold lead. That's not nothing, but it is certainly like good for Bao to have brought that closer. And Hao is actually a big beneficiary of this like last little round of fighting. Actually has a big lead over Toots.
Yeah, I feel like this is a consequence of the early slow play that Furia kind of built up. Normally, if we see this type of lead right now of 5 to 6k, we would have seen Furia be able to run the show all day long. But because it's coming closer into that 30-minute mark, there's already a decent chunk for Fluxu to kind of bounce back on. We really did watch Bao be able to match pace for the early stages. So now Fluxu have presented themselves as an actual threat. If Furia mess up, if Furia overstep, there can be problems. However, Magnustorm jumped on in from the extended blast cone, says that gold lead will truly work. As look at IU, spell slinging with the blaze, the transcendent state, rocks the HP bars, and everything I said goes right out the dang window. Furia break through the front doors of the base and are looking to take their 4th victory here in the start of Super Week. It would be a great way to kick off day 1 and 2. Will it happen though, as Curdy trying to play defense here? House and Pro Delta up and alive, and it looks like Furia are dancing a little bit further back, saying, okay, let's just take the inhibitor and back away.
Yeah, a smart play from Furia and a good defense from Fluxu. It pushes the game a little bit longer, but they get now a second inhib opened up. Another lane that Fluxu is going to have to focus on clearing. It is a good way for them to just kind of passively get some gold by letting the minions push in and then farming them up in a position of relative safety. But it is going to be pretty tough for Fluxu now to get out of their base and find value on the map. And with the dragon up in only 30 seconds, it's going to be tough because someone will have to eventually attend to that top side. For Furia on that side, I really loved that combo. What great team play they had between Jojo and Gigo there.
Well, the hunt is on here. Furia recognizing no. Pro Delta kicks it off and it only gets a knockup onto the tanks. You really don't want to be here. Equalizer gonna find more Tatu. Blast cones over the wall, and we've seen these blast cones. The extended range, thanks to the Chemtech Soul, creates so much more chaos because Gigo cooks up a king, and down goes J4. Feels bad, man.
It's just a delicious. He just baked poor Peach into a delicious cobbler, and now it's gonna be very, very tough. Like I said, you can see someone has to respond to that top side. It is Bao that has pulled that duty, and so any kind of combat that happens is gonna be a little bit delayed for the full response. And not only that, they are down their jungler for another 20 seconds. The dragon is up, and Tatu is on it, has it cleared most of the way down. So that's going to be the Chemtech Soul for Furia. Not anyone on Furia besides perhaps Jojo that makes exceptional use of that increased damage and damage reduction as you fall lower. But again, a soul is nothing to sneeze at. The extra stats from the Chemtechs themselves, I think notably that tenacity that you get is going to be very good, helping to curtail Pro Delta's impact in any of these fights. And they pick up another Baron to boot. This is going to be a very, very tough one for Fluxu. They're at that stage of the game, late into the game. You're 30 plus minutes in, and you're kind of waiting, like, is there a miracle that can save us? And for my money, Furia is not a team that gives up those openings a heck of a lot often.
No, they aren't, but they've dropped 2 games, so maybe there is a world where Fluxu can get an advantage. Now, will it happen is a whole different story. As you mentioned, they're not ones to leave their flank open to a liver shot or a gut shot. It's always been, just a hammering from the opponents. Gigo, though, is looking like a monster. 20 on that level cap, already set to go with a full inventory, just has that dark seal that I think they really just picked up for giggles at the very end. 10 stacks on it right now. We are going to see Furia look to try and close out this game in expeditious fashion with the Chemtech Soul in their pocket and more to play with.
Yeah, they're pushing through this bottom lane. They want to get that last inhibitor opened up. If they can take both inhibitors and get the double supers spawning, that essentially gives them free reign to siege how they see fit. If they don't see an angle, they don't have to force it. They can just let the minions do their thing. They can go out on the map and find even more value if they want, but they're in such a strong state with the Baron buff. With all these items, you see Gigo is essentially full build because of that fully stacked Dark Seal and all of the damage multipliers, the Leandries, the Riftmaker, the Bloodletter's Curse especially is going to do a lot of value when you consider that that's lowering the magic resist. Who does magic damage is every other carry on his team except Tatu, right? Like Tuts and Ayu both do significant amounts of magic damage, so it's going to be really, really tough for anyone to stand up to this kind of siege here from Furia, because all it takes is a little bit of damage to get that burn starting, and then everything else is going to hit that much harder. They're just watching their empowered cannon siege this tower from outside its range. There's nothing that Fluxu can do about it. The base, is getting smaller and smaller. It's starting to get a little claustrophobic in there. And Fluxu, I think at some point you just have to find an angle, pull the trigger, and live with whatever happens. Because right now it's Furia just slowly burning away, slowly chipping away at whatever's left of their base.
You gotta rip the Band-Aid off. You gotta rip the Band-Aid off and recognize there's a big gaping wound underneath, the one that you have to heal up, and the healing comes from putting that work in. They are going to try and do so. Protelstra goes in. Nice knock up on the 3. They caught Tatu a little bit, but the Cataclysm brings everyone closer to the backside. However, Curdy had to ult away from the fight, which leaves poor J4 alone. No soldiers to stand aside. Instead, it is just death. Ayu pops off with 3, and that will be the closing of this game. Furia move on to 4-2 on the record.
I mean, that was just a very clinical game from Furia. They had really only one major misstep, and it was that fight in the jungle around the Baron pit. I think for the most part, though, Furia is going to be very happy with the way the game went. They just controlled the pace, they controlled when and where they fought, and pretty much it never really looked like Fluxu was in the driver's seat. There were game states that looked neutral, but any time that there was a clear position of power, it was always Furia with their hands on the controls.
Yeah, and this is the Furia that I think a lot of fans were very excited for. Maybe it was a little bit slower, but the decision making towards the end felt very comfortable. They knew where their gold leads were. They knew where to rotate. And playing off of Gigo, you mentioned it earlier about that mid to late game. We saw Gigo start to recognize that as well, and the team started to play around it. Hey, where can we let Gigo do Gigo things? Where can we let Gigo just kind of burn away the opponent? They started to recognize that, and that's where Fluxu kind of lost the plot. We saw Fluxu fight. This 1-in-5 squad had moments where they could fight. It was a little bit too little too late, and by that point, Gigo was running the show.
Yeah, I think at some point, we talked about both teams could have just thrown hands earlier on in lane.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that all the way back there during that laning phase is where I want to see Furia make kind of a tactical change. Or not Furia, sorry, Fluxu. I misspoke. To see Fluxu make a sort of tactical or strategic change, rather, to their game plan. Of, hey, this Furia team is really good at controlling the map and controlling positioning and pressure. Let's just fight them while things are even, and if we win, we get ourselves ahead and we make that pressure a lot more bearable. If we lose, well, things happen, right? But forcing that coin flip when it's an even 50-50 as opposed to, waiting later on and trying to win the 90-10 gambit, it might be something worth looking into.
Yeah, you know what it was? I give them a lot of credit because it's better than, at least we're not 0-5 like another squad that we might see play here in just a little bit. We got Los up against Pain, the absolute outliers of their respective standings, 5-0 versus 0-5, and you're not going to want to miss all the action. Now, the CBLOL English will continue on throughout the entirety of the Super Week. We have a very stacked lineup of casters as well, but if you don't want to sit and watch all the action, or you're busy like me and can't watch all the action, go ahead and check out the podcast that is every week to recap and also look forward to a lot of the matches going on. You can find that on the CBLOL English website on YouTube. Check them all out and see all the lovely faces. Not only that, please go ahead, leave a follow, leave a like wherever you can to go ahead and show some love, because we love doing this and it is a labor of love at the end of the day. So go ahead, show your support in one way or another. We will go to a very short break. When we come back, it's the last 2 games of the day on this lovely Saturday to see who is going to be moving up and down the standings. Don't go anywhere. CBLOL English. We'll be back in just a bit.
Hello, everybody. I forgot I'm supposed to be a play-by-play now. I have changed roles. I was looking at RMC like, he's going to say something. He's going to say something. Well, no, that's my job.
Brother,
as we are getting
faster this time, but still 30 seconds.
We are going straight into draft as I'm going to be doing a little bit of trolling as I switch teams here from color to play-by-play as we're seeing Los versus Pain as they are going to first pick that Rise. And you know what? Los Grandes said, hey, Houses Azir was pretty good. I wonder if Feisty can do that.
Yeah, and it's going to be a bit of an interesting one coming through. So first off, it's worth noting Los Grandes currently 5-0 undefeated. Pain is 0-5 unwinnable. Like, they can't find a win to save themselves, Ren. And it's funny because the last time these two teams met was back in 2024. In LTA South in 2025, there was no Los Grandes. So 568 days since they last met. And boy, have the tables turned. Right now, Pain Gaming coming into this week with a roster change. They've dropped Marvin. And they have brought in import Trigger from Nongshin Academy last year. He's not playing this year on Nongshin Academy, so a bit of a fortuitous pickup for Pain. Let's just see if it's enough to change their 0-5 ways.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? Is the last time we saw Los Grandes was with like the BRTT super team into complete collapse, and then they were just kind of that's what they were until they were gone, and then. I think they have a bit of a personal vendetta about being perceived that way, as they are, coming back with a vengeance 5-0 to start. And you mentioned Pain, being 0-5, and we knew they were going to probably have some struggles because of some various off the rift drama, but it's been resounding. Like I said, they're starting Trigger, and that has maybe seen a bit of a shift in their draft strategy. Honestly, walk me through the Mundo that I assume is going into the jungle.
Okay, they just want tank, right? They just want nice beefy tanks to
big guy
play through. You've got the Renekton, you've got the Rise already. Both of them will be able to dish out some damage, and it feels like they're playing a little bit for Trigger. It's worth noting Korean Trigger, the Korean bot lane, from what I've heard, they are communicating in Korean in the bot lane right now. So I'm expecting to see some sort of hyper carry come through from Trigger to be able to take advantage of this front line. Yunara right now still on the table, unpicked, unbanned, and both, well, for Los Grandes, they've already picked the Corki, so they can afford to start pinching the AD carry pool if they so wish.
If they do, however, choose to kind of hammer in on that support pool, it is the Nico that is the first to fall for the second round of bans. Let's see what Pain Gaming have in mind. Obviously, neither support has been picked. It is just their bot lane left, but they're going to go ahead and choose to pinch the lane.
Wow, SuperBren. You've changed all of a sudden. Hello, FourY4. Are we swapping over? Is that what's going on right now?
Yep, I think we're good.
Okay.
My
Thank you, Bren, for your services
for some reason,
this morning.
so I'll get that tweaked. But we do finally get Malphite, and that's exciting. Can y'all hear me okay? You can hear me okay?
We will find out shortly from chat if they can actually hear you. But till then, the Malphite you were talking about, FourY4, worth noting, it's been more of a jungle pick, this particular meta so far, but it can be flexed into top lane. And frankly, if you're running to a Renekton, it's actually not a bad pickup into Renekton by any means. So kind of curious to see if we do see that come through. Okay, and I think they're currently trying to set FourY4 up, so while he's frozen a little bit, we'll continue with the draft. The Vayne to come through from Los Grandes from Duda. That is an insane pick right now. We've not seen a Vayne at all in CBLOL for a hot minute. I don't remember the last time we saw that come through, but given the way Duda's been playing, I kind of like the idea. He's very aggressive, really strong player so far, and Ackerman's been enabling him perfectly. So that does mean the Corki, or is that Vayne top actually, and then I guess Duda is running the Corki into the bot lane. So Vayne into Renekton. You know what? I don't hate that. That reminds me a bit of, the old Quinn days where Quinn was one of the answers. She can space very well with the tumble, similar to how Quinn would space out, and has the condemn to keep the Renekton away.
Yes, and now, finally, I am all set. But yeah, I'd heard some stuff about like kind of range tops. Like we're kind of I've been hearing some rumblings and are kind of too well. Quinn is like the first one that comes in, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously because of her blind and the damage. But then Number 2, right, Vayne, with the true damage, with the CC, right, with the condemn, with the extra terrain you can play with in the top lane. That's what you can do. But now we're seeing, okay, it's going to be Corki top.
No, surely not. I think it's going to be, well,
I guess they do still have a little bit of time to swap, but that would surprise me. Okay.
That would shock me, because I don't think Vayne has that good a matchup into the Sivir necessarily early on.
No, the range and the wave clear it's so difficult to deal with.
Yep, and we do have sort of that Sivir Bard bot lane to come through for Korean Trigger, which is interesting because we did talk about how that composition needs a hyper carry somewhere, specifically from Trigger, and Sivir certainly fulfills that role. We've seen Marvin struggle quite a bit with the Sivir pickup, so we'll see if Trigger's able to pilot better. And for Curry, going with the Bard, this will be the first time this split that he's actually picking the Bard. He has played it before to great effect, but I do think Pain likes him more on hard engaged champions where he's in there causing as much disruption as possible. Bard can be a hard engaged champion, but he doesn't throw himself in there to do it. You use that Tempered Fate and then you just kind of stay back a little bit, use those stuns, just sit back and act almost as a pseudo enchanter half the time.
Yeah, and I remember, and I kind of heard about this, and they talked about this on the dive. I didn't watch all the LCS games this past weekend, but the Bard is literally, his kit enables roaming, right? And the amount you can do with that, and obviously you can drop off little health packs, but you can get up to the mid lane and drop some health packs. You can get to other places and drop your little health packs. But that's the other thing, right? It's like Sivir, she's not Ezreal, right? But she can be a little more safe in lane. So I think that's something to watch, as well as how much does he get out of lane with that. And obviously, like you said, with the ultimates, look, Bard giveth and Bard taketh away. And also, just to wrap back a little bit, have you given like the lore dump on Trigger? Because this obviously his debut, and the stakes could not be higher for Pain.
I have mentioned that he's coming in from Nongshim Academy, but I have not given the lore dump. So 4-4, after we see Robo and Zest kind of trade a little bit, I think actually, you know what, you probably have time.
Yeah, no, I was going to let you do it, because this is a lot more emotionally engaging for you.
Fair enough. Yeah. So basically, he's coming in to replace Marvin. We kind of mentioned that, but Marvin, sort of the Pain Gaming Academy AD carry, and then was loaned out to Fluxo W7M last year. This year, having to do the emergency sub because of Titan getting suspended right before the season started. And unfortunately, it just didn't work out. I don't think Marvin was the problem, but he certainly wasn't the answer. So Pain Gaming, of course, they're 0-5. They're looking to still try and get into the playoffs through the play-ins at this point. So they needed a change, and they decided to go for Trigger, former Nongshim Academy AD carry, who was available this year since he's not playing for Nongshim this year. And I guess, with the connections, they were able to bring him in. He was a good part of that Nongshim Academy roster, who had top 3 finishes when he came in, starting in rounds 3 to 5, which is sort of like the equivalent of, I guess, split 2 out of 3 splits. So yeah. He's mechanically very, very sound, and we're seeing that already come through. The fact that he's already pressuring in, they get that level 2 advantage. A lot more reminiscent of what we used to see from Titan Curry. Now the question is whether or not he'll be fine, especially with this comp. I see the Malphite, the Vayne, the Corki, like everybody's gunning for that backline. That Malphite, Jungle Malphite, by the way, doesn't run full tank. He often specs a little bit more into damage early on, running that was Zeke's Convergence for that early sort of out ability to access the backline. And it's more about trying to pop somebody down than it is trying to get tanky and survive.
Well, you can see, with the Electrocute and the Red Smite, right? This is a little bit more, maybe not all gas, no brakes, but a little more gas, a little less brakes, certainly. But it is, and with this competition as it kind of goes forward, right? You've got scaling really on both sides. Both sides are going to scale all right here. Robo obviously going to have a little bit of a tougher time with that on the Renekton, but he's going to have, he's going to have 2 easier targets, actually 3 kind of easier targets to get in there and kind of, even if your prerogative is just flash stun, the range on the carries on the side of Los Grandes is much shorter.
Yeah, and for Los Grandes, looking at the competition, I almost feel like it's less about the team fight. Don't get me wrong, they can still team fight very well with the Malphite and sort of Azir, Corki, Vayne all skilling up really, really well, tons of damage. But I feel like it's more about the laning phase to come through. I need to see Dida and Ackerman win out like they have been for most of this split, especially with that Corki into the Sivir early, because Sivir can single-handedly wreck all of them. The range on Los Grandes is a little bit shorter, and for Zest, that Vayne pickup, that was 100% a lane pick saying, I am going to stomp this Renekton. And so far, he's already been starting to get that CS lead going, a 10 CS advantage over Robo. But we've seen Robo play, and we know that he knows how to lose gracefully as long as he doesn't feed the pain.
Yeah, exactly. And that's always a possibility. I mean, and someone who, oh, hold on, Ackerman, able to get that max range hook down. Corey just going to leave himself to the just kidding. He's got a magical journey. And he's going to take that. I should know better. I play too much Bard to not know that is something you can do. Robo gets the heck out of dodge. It's shoved, actually. No, I thought he flashed for a second, but no, he got condemned away. Like he knew that something was up there. Carioca could smell the blood in the water. Carioca rushed into that pixel brush. Behind. Actually, no, he's on pace just a little bit here. Robo able to catch up a little bit on CS. And I think, RMC, the way I would put it, if nothing else, is as we might get an encounter of the junglers here for this Pain Gaming, or for this Los Grandes composition, I should say, it has to be more about the laning and less about the team fighting. Because, especially with a Malphite, that if he doesn't end up building full tank, it gets really tough. And not that, Malphite, he's got one button to engage, and then he's just a rock, right? He doesn't just, go around and CC people like a true tank would. He's actually able to CC to dodge the CC with the flash. Drake Hero had the Rings of Doom surrounding him from the Rise, but now that tower completely zoned off. Ackerman trying to respond in kind. Trigger had the spell shield up, didn't get it procced there. As Duda
They
maybe able to get in range there. Yeah, Trigger, they're not giving up here. Able to get the flash out of Trigger as well. He's got the barrier still should things go sideways, but I think that is a more than welcome trade for the bot lane of Los Grandes.
Yeah, and for Pain Gaming, very mixed feelings about how this is kind of working out for them. Again, just a reminder, they're bottom of the table, right? This was supposed to be the super team where Robo and Tinones comes back, reunites with Titan, and then they're supposed to just be able to win out all the lanes. Evidently, that didn't happen. And what we saw in the sort of first 5 games when they were playing with Marvin was a lack of team synergy. Interestingly enough, Pain Gaming, they're not the worst early game team. Heck, they're not even the second worst early game team. Their goal difference at 15 was only 1,303. An interesting stat was at 10 minutes, they were actually up goal 280. So individually, they're okay. Where they start to fall apart a lot of times was sort of teamwork and communication. In the mid game, they wouldn't rotate fast enough. They wouldn't move together fast enough. So watching them kind of format the top lane to get Robo out of his own personal little hell, that's a positive look. Unfortunately, they committed a lot of resources in the topside play. Didn't work out. Feisty gets free push in the mid lane, gets that CS advantage, gets that extra XP, and then as we saw, Trigger just kind of got dumpstered from a winning lane now into 10 CS down.
Yeah, and he's got himself a slight item advantage. I mean, if nothing else in terms of combat power, right? Because I was kind of doing that same math of okay, but what did they give up, right? I'm looking at the gold. It wasn't awful, but especially in the bottom lane, you want to start this kind of snowballing. But I mean, I say that what's more important? You want to stop, you want to get the snowball going in the top lane, or do you want to stop Robo from being just capital U useless? I would argue it's the second, because Robo, if he can get into this lane, it's still a Renekton as the Dragon started up here by Pain Gaming. A couple of health patch dropped there by Kuri. They're going to get Dragon number 1.
100%. I agree with you. It's really about making sure Robo doesn't become useless. In their sort of 5-week slump, Robo, I think, is one of the... He's either leads the team in deaths, leads the leagues in deaths, pardon me, or close to, or he's the highest of the top laners, because he's certainly been struggling in that top side alone, and yet I'd argue he's had the most impact. So if you can stop him from dying, from feeding Zest, I do think Robo will be huge. He's also going to be a big threat later on in team fights, and they need him to have that relevance to be able to kind of threaten Feisty, Zest, Dida. If he can't do that, then it gets a lot more dangerous and becomes just 1v the world. Zest getting caught out here, no flash.
Nope, no flash, but he does have the condemn, and he's got a Drake hero there. Immune to CC is Dr. Mundo. He famously goes where he pleases, able to tank that engage. But hey, all's well that ends well. Could have gone worse there. Los Grandes with their jungler there at the right place at the right time, but we might not be done here, RMC. First blood, meanwhile, going to Bard in the bottom lane. Kuri gets on the board as Duda meets his fate in the Gray Scream. Condemned, not going to find its mark into the terrain there. Robo going to grab his first kill of the game as Pain Gaming jump out to a 3-0 lead. Trigger mops up the rest of the bottom lane. The wave is dead here. Drake Hero should be okay for a little bit. I say that it's gonna crash into this tower really quick here. Robo and Carioca have not given up just yet. Maybe they have now. Yeah, noticing the potential for the roam up there from Feisty, getting the hey, abort from Tinones.
A great call from Drake Hero as well to go out and actually proxy the wave. If it ever crashes in, he's dead to right. He knows it. He holds it. Great top laner play from a jungler playing a former top lane champion. But I do want to mention, Carioca actually has 80% first blood rate coming into this game. That means 4 out of 5 of the games, he got first blood. Almost did it again. I want to see a replay of the bot lane. Because we said, Marvin and Curry, they've been struggling in lane. Like, Marvin's been farming okay, but he doesn't get that lane pressure. Here we get the replay of exactly what happened.
So Ackerman able to get in there with the Zenith Blade. Duda hits level 6, able to actually just, he just whiffs the first rocket. Not that that would have mattered that much. Maybe you could have taken down Trigger if you would have hit one of those rockets. But when Curry goes in there after, he's like, I got this one, boss. Don't worry. And Trigger, he just can't do anything. Ackerman is just, I mean, he's just getting sturdy. But now Trigger, with a little bit of help there. There we go. Got the boomerang blades going. Got the Q out. There we go. And we saw this up in the top lane.
Yeah, and for the top side, it was just a nice clean dive, and it's really capitalizing on that 4-man they set up initially onto Zest. Really good play, because we saw that for the Renekton, you can slice and you can dice, but Vayne has Tumble and Condemn, so she can match range for range, and she's going to be able to space very well in the 1v1 situation. So they recognize that, well, Zest doesn't have Flash now. Next time Zest pushes up, if we've got another body, we're good, we're safe. And I love the recognition from Karaoke and Robo to say that, hey, we're tanky, brawly bruisers. Like, we've got enough beef and bulk to actually go for this dive comfortably. They're able to do that, find one, even threaten a second. So Pain Gaming for the first time in 2026, looking good. But we said it before, they're used to having a small gold lead at 10 minutes. We're at 10 minutes. The question is whether they can keep it at 15.
Well, I think if nothing else for vibes, this has got to be really good. And again, this is not a dump on Marvin Party. And if you haven't watched the clip that went viral of the Pain vlog of him of Marvin kind of, you know, essentially crying, like when he kind of realized, look, and apologizing for, like, look, I'm sorry, like I wasn't good enough. And everybody else was, you know, they were good sports, obviously, but go check that out. It's all over kind of Brazilian social media. Go Shotana or like Sheepy Sports Brazil. They've had a clip of it. But if nothing else for vibes of, because it's like you said, Marvin, he plays AD carry how I played AD carry in the CBLOL is good. Oh, hold on. Realm Warp in. Dudu might be toast here. The flash, not enough to close the distance. Get the Q down, slam him into the wall. But Trigger just going to rip the boomerang blades into him. Another kill for your bottom lane of RMC. The snowball has well and truly started rolling here. But to wrap up what I was saying, Marvin, he was good enough, right? But he's not like creating that big 2v2 pressure, which is what you're expecting from the best version of Titan and Curry. He's farming all right? But like you said, in the mid and late game, the team synergy just wasn't there. They had already built up with Titan. Now, obviously, it's going to take a while to get going with Trigger, but if nothing else, with Trigger, you've got a dude in the lane that speaks your same language, literally.
Yeah, and I think that's more important because Pain Gaming was built to react to a strong bot lane. And now that they've got a strong bot lane, you can immediately see how much better the team looks, how much more coordinated they look on that dive. You saw that movement from Tinones, from Karaoke to kind of dive behind that turret. And that's something that we've not been seeing from this team up to this point. And when they do that, Dudu gets shut down for what feels like the first time this year as well. 0-2-0 is Dudu, this amazing stellar rookie who was having the debut of his life. Like, I think that we should be looking at, like, who else in the CBLOL has had debuts as good as Dudu. It feels like Tatu. And that's kind of it. And now finally he's getting shut down by, surprise, arguably the biggest upset, 5-0 Los losing to 0-5 Pain. I'm getting ahead of myself, I know, but I can't help but be excited right now.
And look, we still got a long way to go. And the gold lead is just barely under 2,000. This is still winnable for Los Grandes. Their composition does scale all right, but like you sort of alluded to, the team fighting is a little bit trickier. And you've got a true tank in Karaoke's Dr. Mundo. Role quest has been completed here for Robo, so definitely flip the script on this lane. And I think that's where, if you're a Pain Gaming fan, that's where the confidence should come from, is that, like we said, this Los Grandes composition was there to stomp the lane. And that didn't exactly happen, especially not in the bottom lane. In the top lane, Robo's gotten his shoes on from under him. Karaoke going to eat the Zenith Blade. Solar Flare down. Actually swiped away the dragon, that Hextech dragon. And Burst Divine going to shove Curry into certain doom. He will go down, but as a question of who can he take with him, flashing forward to secure that kill. There goes the Zenith Blade one more time to lock Karaoke in place after that CC shield comes off. Flashing forward, though, his Tino's just barely not able to get onto Dudu. He's able to get maybe a little bit of damage reloading. Doesn't have any big ones out. Pain just barely surviving. Your Tino's is getting real sturdy. Gets on Ackerman. Okay, old man. Okay, no damage items. He's just got components. But meanwhile, Dudu just gets ripped off the face of the earth from Karaoke as Robo able to get the dominance off. But Zest, if this trade goes on any longer, he should be able to get the most out of this. But how about Tino's, man? No damage items. Melee range rise. He says, okay, no, watch. I just do more damage than you.
Yeah, and the problem was that, sure, Tinones didn't have damage, but neither did Los Grandes. Dudu got forced out early, and he was the big damage. In fact, Dudu dying to Karaoke, that's on Dudu. He went back in. They'll show it on the
that second
replay.
death.
He chose to go that. But the fight itself was good, and I love... This is what has made Los Grandes good up to this point. Zero hesitation. They go in. They know they've got the Malphite. They know they can find the engage angles, and you can't zone us out. So they're able to secure the Dragon. And the fight initially looks great. Trading your Azir for the Sivir, that's good. That's solid. But the problem is what happens after. And you can see Dudu took way too much damage trying to step up in there. That's the range issue we were talking about.
Yeah.
That it's rearing its head now. It will be worse later on. And right here, Dudu
absolutely.
starts chasing for Karaoke. And you can't be chasing into bushes. He went blind into the bush. If you wanted to Valk, you had to Valk earlier or later. But not into a bush. Not face first into that. I love Rose, our producer. Lizard, League of Legends, huh? Yep.
Yeah. League of Legends, huh? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, League of Legends. Yeah. Oh, man. But now Pain Gaming firmly in control of this one. Up about 2,000 gold. They did give up that dragon. Not for nothing. The kill does go over to Dudu and Feisty. So, again, you've got the kills kind of in the right places. Dasher's Tooth and the upgraded boots picked up here by the Los Grandes mid laner. And it's one of these things, RMC, where until you see it, it's tough to believe it because the records are so damning. Now Emperor's Divide coming in here as Drake Hero just going to chain the CC. Tinones has absolutely no shot in this one. As we've got Spanish, actually, for the in-game text. not Portuguese.
Very interesting. Because, I
wonder if
noticed that
that's on
some of their text like information comes up in English. And then now, I guess the in-game is Spanish. They're being very inclusive in CBLOL, and I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Feisty using
look,
the
we still got
teleport.
LATAM teams here. Yeah. DP comes in from Feisty. Yeah, here's a way to recognize the upside down exclamation mark. That's not Portuguese. That's only Spanish. So, they don't, Portuguese doesn't do that. And that's what we got there. I was like, yeah, see, look at this. Apareció el heraldo de something. That's Spanish. Look, it's fun. And Los Grandes, famously, Brazilian org, Spanish name. Very confusing if you're not from around here.
True, fair enough. And sadly for me, I am linguistically impaired, so it's all Greek to me, even though it's Spanish and Portuguese. But in-game, I understand. League of Legends is a language I do speak, and Los able to find their way back in a little bit. Great punish onto Tinones, recognizing that flashes are down from that team fight. They've managed to close the gold gap a little bit, and for Pain, they've got to be a little bit more careful about this. They can't be letting the game slip away. This is usually when they start to lose it. Robo being hunted down. He does have flash, he does have Dominus, but he does not have backup.
Oh. And that damage is starting to hurt. The healing from the Dominus just barely able to keep him alive. Man, between that Doran shield and the Ninja Tabbies, or the plated steel caps, you wonder that might have been what saved his life there.
Yeah. Even with all that true damage, it still helps to reduce the physical damage component of things coming through, the actual basic auto attacks. I'm kind of interested in what happened in the mid lane, because Kuri looked like he had to make a swift escape from the enemy side of the jungle, and they took a lot of damage there. This isn't like concern with Pain. This is what we're talking about. They're starting to lose out a little bit. Zest, though, has flash this time.
Does have flash. Ooh. Drake Hero trying to create some space here. The health bars on those Grandes are very, very low. I think he did blow. Nope, there he goes. Robo. That is Robo. That's not Malphite. He goes in there, has to get right back out. Zest with very good reaction time. Able to get the ward down in that Tribe Rush. Good thinking there. Knew you're going to have to do that again. There's terrain to play with here. Corey's taking advantage. Corey has taken 2 tower shots. He's got to neutralize the tower. Says, get off my face, dude. We've got a fight to get to. Robo still got the dominance down. One more auto from Zest would be enough, but Zest is dead. How about a double kill for Karaoke, as Pain pile on the misery here. Feisty shows up, but it's going to be too little too late. Karaoke trigger pushing in that wave, able to get the health pack up, and Feisty just shows up like Donald Glover in the Community meme, shows up with the pizza, but the room's already on fire.
Yeah, that was such an... Let's call it interesting because it worked for but this is an interesting dive to come through. Curry with the very delayed tempered fate onto the turret meant he actually took some turret shots, but I guess they just needed to race in as fast as they could to really punish. And Herald was started up by Los Grandes. They had the numbers initially, but I feel like the hesitation actually ended up costing them, because you can see even right here, when Zest got started out, they kind of hesitated a little bit on the Herald first, and then final move. And right there, it was a miss from Drake Hero. The point blank mini unstoppable force just whipped, and the moment that goes down, they didn't have the CC they needed. Solar Flare was still down from the other play, so from the mid lane play. So because of that, they were able to kind of punch that in. Yeah, Curry tanking actually multiple turret shots to make this work. Kind of baits them in, and Robo this game. This is GOAT Robo status. This is the 6-time CBLOL champion. This is when he's playing on a nice edge, and he keeps getting away with it.
Yeah, to go in there and kind of do, like, I don't think he even got like a any CC down. He just kind of went in, said ooga booga, and like drew some attention to himself and got right back out as the Dragon picked up here by Pain Gaming as they extend their lead just that little bit more. Yeah, I mean, that's knowing your limits, man. Knowing your way around a champion, just knowing how League of Legends works, right? If you can get in there, create a bit of a distraction, just enough time, that is that marginal advantage that your team might need. As Pain Gaming now extend the lead to 3,000. Everyone's role quests are completed. Pain also picked up the grubs, not for nothing, so that's going to help out probably Tinon/Trigger a little bit more. And Zest now, I mean, you saw the amount of damage that this team can put out, though, for Los Grandes, right? But just the team fights are really tough to navigate.
And that's a big problem. Like, damage is usually the role of your carries, right? Whether it be AD carry or AP carry in the mid lane. But there's a reason why usually you have a tank or some sort of hard CC, lots of hard CC in the case that you don't have a tank, in order to create that space for you. Because while you're running, you're often not able to put out the same amount of damage. And you're seeing triggers roll in all of this coming through. A lot of times when we look at Sivir, we're waiting for sort of the 3-4 item power spikes for her to come online and be a huge team fight menace. But when there's no tank, even on the 2 items, on the Essence Riva and the Novari Quick Blades, she's already starting to chunk the back line. And because of the short range for Zest and Dudu, it's hard for them to actually step up and stay in zone to be able to take down the tanks. Yes, Zest on this Vayne can get really, really strong and does true damage, % health damage to health tanks. Normally, Mundo would absolutely melt to that, but are you doing damage fast enough to match what Sivir is doing to you with the bouncing blades? Apparently not, and it doesn't get better. For now, though, Feisty, Ackerman, and Drake Hero thinking about setting a trap. They don't see Carioca and Curry necessarily, but as soon as they step up trying to make a counter trap, they'll know, and I think this is probably going to be a wash up top.
Yeah, we'll see how it ends up shaking out. They've got a lot of vision, Los Grandes do, right? As soon as Carioca steps up, they know they're toast. Able to get the recall off is Drake Hero and company. So now Pain Gaming take over as far as vision is concerned on the Baron side of things. And with that 2-1 Dragon lead, right, with the timer saying, you got a little bit here, still another couple minutes till the Dragon shows up. Thank you, Brain. I think they've got the damage. Yeah, Tinons has upgraded both his big items, right, his core items. They've got the damage to kind of chunk this one out, but you still want to make absolutely sure that you have the vision set up and the safety to be able to do that. Get a pick. And as Ackerman's just getting run down, the heel pop there as well. That feels really bad.
I'm just looking at the stutter step from Karaoke trying to figure out what he was doing with the stutter step. Like, why are we just standing there kind of going like, I see you, but I don't want to hit you. Just hit him, man. Just hit him. Holding back the cleavers as well. We did see a whole bunch of sort of assist me pings coming down on the Baron as well while Tinons was in the area. So I'm curious if that's Pain saying, okay, guys, we should go for this Baron now, while we're strong, while Los is actually kind of sitting in a bit of a weak spot. Manamune not quite converted to Mirror Mana for Dudu. And Zest also sitting on components, only with the Storm Razors, which is great for the 1v1. But in the team fight, the Storm Razor doesn't hit quite as well, quite as hard as something like the Stridebreaker might, when kind of messing everybody up, when Tinons already has his Saracen Brace completed and Rod of Ages well on track. Even if it's not fully completed, I'd argue it's better than the component sort of Manamune compared to the fully embraced Ceres.
Yeah. No, I would agree with you there. And the Randuin's picked up there by Carioca as well. Again, short range, when you are just kind of a run-at-you tank, when you are going to get a lot of value out of using these critical strikes with Dudu and with Zest having to rely on that to get that extra little chunk of damage. Super based second pickup. Carioca 3-0-3. Having a great game here on the Mundo. A champ that can look so useless if you don't have the team competition around it, if you don't know what you're doing. But all's well. That ends well. Looks like we're going to be delayed a little bit on this Baron. Not having the confidence to be like, hey, we should just rip it right now. Now the assist me pings coming on the Los Grandes side or on the Dragon. Maybe trying to just force a fight. Maybe trying to actually grab this objective. Again, it feels like it's going to be the prize to this fight as Los Grandes do have the CC shield pop there. And now the chain CC coming through as Carioca gets ripped through there. Curry keeps him alive though. Oh, the flash into the wall. That feels really bad. But another shutdown comes in for Feisty now.
Okay, and this was kind of the concern with Pain just sitting back a little bit, is letting Los get back into the game with the farming, with the pushing, and with sort of the wave states. I think Los has been managing the waves a little bit better, and with Herald, something we kind of neglected to mention, they did pick that up. They're finally going to use it now to crack that mid lane turret, buy themselves a bit more time and space around this Dragon that will spawn 50 seconds. They pulled the trigger a little bit early, but it should still be fine. Carioca will respawn just around the same time as Dragon spawning, and he's still got to walk all the way there. Unfortunately, this is, I believe, a cloud map, so no hex gates to get there. Ackerman desperately needs to not get caught. I understand he's zoning and kind of buying time, but if you die here, that's Baron gone.
Yeah, you've got this lead. You got to be very intentional with, or not this lead, but this kind of way in, this little window into this game. Got to be very careful with how you try to pry it open. But the dragon does go down, like we were saying, for Los Grandes, Drake Hero, able to get himself on that. And now Baron, shrouded in darkness, Pain Gaming, going to start that up. Let's see what the response is. Yeah, you give them enough time to get Karaoke respawned, and guess what? They're going to try to go for that dragon. 2-2, or the Baron, excuse me, 2-2 as far as dragons are concerned.
They know.
Health bar's getting kind of low. Tino's looking for the pinch. Robo trying to get up there. Gets the CC down. Solar Flare down from Ackerman. He has to flash away. Big knock up there. If Zest can clean this up, maybe Los Grandes have a way into this one. And that's exactly what happens. A double kill for Zest. And he just decides to go forward. He says, you can't touch me. 5 against 5 and 2 kills in favor of Los Grandes. They say that's good enough. Let's go to the Baron.
And it's trap into counter trap. We were talking about how Los gave time for Karaoke to respawn because they were going for Dragon. That's fine, because Los were stalling for enough time for Drake Hero's Unstoppable Force to come back up. And with Zeke's convergence, it was such a low cooldown. The moment Drake Hero showed up, they won the fight. And now Los Grandes, from a losing position for it, they are dead even after taking the Baron back. And one of the things they changed about Baron was to make it so that it was a bigger comeback mechanic, and it's done just that for Los Grandes. A lot of standing turrets, standing plates for them to take as well with this Baron buff, and just like that, minutes after, seconds after, they're up ahead. Now, this was the initial pick that led into the Dragon fight. And you can see Drake Hero is more than happy to do single target ultimate. I like the synergy of Tempered Fate along with the Mundo ultimate, because Karaoke was healing up through it. But I've said it before, he needs to be buying time for his team. If he's alone, he's not buying any sort of time. Now, this fight starts looking good, and look at when Drake Hero shows up, catches a multi-man knock-up. And that little bit of CC, we were talking about it, either you have a tank to buy your carry space and time to do damage, or you need hard CC. They went with the latter. They got the hard CC, they got the chains down, and Los Grandes are right back on track.
Well. This just got interesting, RMC. And now, I listed about 10 minutes ago the reasons you got to be feeling good if you're a Pain Gaming fan. Now, if nothing else, because of the shared trauma memory that you have, this is where the alarm bells start going off if you're a Pain Gaming fan. You go, oh no, I've seen this movie before, 5 times, in fact.
Yeah, 10 minutes later than usual, so it's a longer movie. You'll get a bit more of your money's worth, but we do, Pain fans, Pain actually would like to see a win on the board. While that push was happening, it's worth noting Robo actually was pushing on the top side, got a turret, and so Pain is kind of barely holding on to their gold lead right now. They're actually making this a pseudo-negative Baron power play, if not for the Baron gold itself, kind of giving that for Los. And the game is kind of going to a stalemate. Now, the big issue I have for Pain is we've seen their late game, the shot calling was bad. Is it going to change? Is it good enough? That is the big test they've got to overcome right now. Will they throw in the late game? So far, Trigger playing up dangerously, but most importantly, didn't get caught. Drake Hero now getting caught in exchange.
Ooh, Tempered Fate able to grab one. Solar Flare down to buy a little bit more time. Surima Shuffle, that is purely defensive from Feisty.
They still got Feisty,
though. The Zanya's off. Robo. Oh, just barely. Trigger not able to, Trigger able to get the kill there. Not able to run away. As Ackerman tries to maybe split everybody, get some bodies going in a different direction there. As Pain Gaming get a big catch. No objectives to fight over, but that gives you a little bit more onus in shoving down these waves. Now, RMC, talk about the shot calling. To me, the fact that Trigger is on an 80 carry like Sivir, that does give me a little bit more hope, because this is a little bit more of a just kind of sit back and right click sort of 80 carry, right? The shot calling aspect of it should be kind of just, I forget what podcast I was listening to, but they talked about a certain type of 80 carry that is just a sit there and right click type of 80 carry here. The slows get hit onto Drake Hero. You see all these abilities used defensively, RMC.
Yeah, and I think the biggest problem is also that Feisty just couldn't get out of range. He's there. And look at where Zest is, by the way. This is not a 5v5. So when the Shurima Shuffle comes across, when the knockup comes across from L5, they don't want to follow up on it because they know they don't have enough damage to actually rip down Karaoke or Robo this time. So by the time Zest joins up, like you said, they burnt everything defensively. They don't have a turnaround mechanic. And it was a little bit unfortunate for Feisty that last auto chasing after the flash, after the the shifting sands was used to create space. Well, autos are just going to chase you anyway, so it still ends up going down. Thankfully for them, they were in a dominant enough position that Pain can't find much on the back end of it. No objectives for them to really take. They weren't able to take the mid turret either. So those are fine. They just need to reset a little bit. Things are still on a knife's edge. 1,000 gold difference at this point means nothing. Now, the podcast you're thinking of, FourY4, was Gringos Liberados. We were talking about CL's ideal AD carry.
Yes. I've been consuming a lot of media, and I got our own wonderful podcast confused with the many other media I'm consuming here. We've got a fight down as Drake Hero. That's not a Takey Malphite build. You are a bit of a one-button Boris, and if that one button doesn't go well, you are set right to the green screen as penance for your sins. Double kill or Tinones comes through as Pain Gaming simply outmuscle Los Grandes in this fight. Azir turret be damned. They go forward. It's a triple for Tinones. 5, 1, and 4 on this ride, just taking over. Shuriba shuffle into Zanyas, and guess what? Both those abilities are going to get you nothing. A shutdown and a quadra for Tinones.
And the instant push from Pain, even before the fight was done, Robo running to that bot lane immediately to get the shove. Trigger pushing in with that wave. They want to capitalize on this. Last fight, they couldn't get anything more. This fight, they're looking for inner turrets. They're looking to max out the gold, and they're doing this very efficiently. They're going to get 2 turrets and Dragon. Can they get 3 triggers actually on that inhib turret?
Yeah, they certainly, I mean, like you said, they immediately went to just their duties on the map. They knew that the team fight was just cooked. So they were able to get that push going in earnest here. And now they got themselves 1 dragon away from Cloud Soul, an unbelievably strong soul these days.
Yeah.
As Baron, 45 seconds away from spawning. I imagine that's when we're going to see the next battle lines drawn RMC. And it's hard not to favor Pain Gaming. Now, that mid lane, now the mid lane gold is equalized. Everybody very much ahead.
Yeah, and the problem is, who are they engaging on? I think Karaoke has been positioning himself very, very well, generally to make sure that he's the focus of it. And look how much they're spending on him. If you don't get the kill, he just regenerates back up. And I'm not even sure there's any healing cut. I'm not seeing the healing cut symbol above Karaoke's head while all this is happening. Yeah. So he just walks around, and by the time he comes back to the fight, he's back to half health. He can just trade out with Robo, and job is done. I also want to highlight Trigger a little bit in the fight, because you were talking about how Trigger, he can just be that mechanical AD carry, just sit back and do everything. And it feels like he's just that. With Sivir, especially as a champion, he gets to just use the spell shield. So it's like sort of another another way he can stop things from coming through. I believe the flash went through, the shield didn't even go down from the unstoppable.
Yeah. Well, and that flash was a hell of a reaction time. He saw Drake Hero essentially appear in frame and just immediately flashed out of danger. If that wasn't the case, then he gets caught in that unstoppable force. Uh-oh. Robo goes in. He's got the Guardian Angel. He is an issue right now. Duda's going to get caught in the Tempered Fate. Root goes down. Drake Hero using that purely defensively. Feist actually will get a kill on the back of that. But with with Trigger alive, that is more than enough damage. That is exactly what he's able to do. The late game has hit. The wall item advantage is simply too much. Pain Gaming looking dominant in the late game in this one. Robo starts it off, and they put the pedal to the metal to grab what I imagine will be their first win of the CBLOL season.
30-second death timers are really long at this point in the game, especially when there's a Sivir. And look who's standing. It's Drake Hero, it's Ackerman. They have 0 wave clear. Ackerman's still... Ackerman he's not even recalling. He's just chilling base. He knows it's done and dusted. FourY4, the biggest upset of the league, I think we can call it, for this year. 0-5 Pain. Sub in... Bring in Trigger. I won't even call him sub, because I'm pretty sure they're going to be starting him for the rest of the year. They bring in Trigger, and they beat the 5-0 Los, and you can see that look in their eyes. Duda especially was like, what? We lost? Yeah. What is a loss? We haven't seen that all split long. Like, I don't know how to lose. All I've been doing is winning. But yeah, dude, you lost, and you lost in lane, unfortunately. Yeah, and fantastic play from Pain Gaming. And we had questions about Los Grandes. We knew they were good, but this is why I was hesitant to declare them the best team in the league. I put red above them, actually. Yeah. Because we don't know if they know how to come back, and we don't know if they know how to play out team fights when they don't have a lead. This is the first time, I believe, we've seen them actually not win their 1v1s and 2v2s, respectively.
Yeah, Pain just seems like playing with a little bit more of that je ne sais quoi, playing with a little bit more confidence. And not to yuck your yum, but record-wise, yeah, biggest upset, 100%. But it's sort of like you said, right? I don't think anyone could have looked at you with a straight face and said, Los Grandes are for sure the best team, and Pain Gaming are for sure the worst team. Because, like, look, the names still matter. It's best of ones, new split. Pain have this insane dark cloud hanging over them. Look, I didn't think, even with Titan, I didn't think this team would be, like, solid number 1, just because, Tinones coming back out of retirement, having coming off one of the worst splits of his life. Yes, it was because of the AD mid meta. We could relitigate all of that, but it was going to take time for Pain Gaming, and I think they weren't going to hit their highest highs, right? If this was, Leviathan or Fluxu versus Red, right? Then we can have maybe a different discussion. But even then, RMC, the points you made are still salient ones, which is that the way the Los Grandes usually win, they weren't able to execute on that. And the way that Pain Gaming usually lose, they looked much more cohesive this time around. And it looked like old Pain. Man, it looked, I mean, especially Robo with the Renekton. Again, the self-awareness that this dude has on this champion, it's not anything to, like, you know, write home about, but a lot of guys don't have that on that champion at level 17, right? They don't understand that I am there just to take up space. I am there to be a distraction. I'm there to start fights. And once I get that Guardian Angel, I just become a different monster entirely. So very well done by him. Tinone's on mages, man. The kid is good, and Trigger looked fantastic on the Sim.
And it was really funny too, because we didn't have time because we were having some production issues right before we got into this game. I had a graphic actually prepared about this matchup. Because,
Rip it.
Yeah, we talked about how it's been like 568 days since these two teams last met. Back in 24, split to week 6. At that time, it was BRTT sort of big last stand. They were 10th place, 1 win, 10 losses, and the only 2 players remaining from Pain are Karioka and Curry, as you can see on the graphic there. Now, Dude is coming in 5 wins, 0 losses, and it looks like it's Lowe's time. But I didn't change this graphic because, yeah, Curry ain't crying right now. Dude is the one who looks stunned and shocked after this Pain. Somehow, it just said, "Those remember 2 years ago?" Yeah, so do we.
Oh man, yeah. The BRTT Revenge Tour was. I think we all chose to forget that. Again, talk about collective memory. I think that's something that we all scrubbed from it, because that was just not it. That was an unmitigated disaster. But this time around, Pain Gaming get the last laugh. And if nothing else, they want to get themselves up to that 5-6, right? I think they're locked into, I think, bottom 4. Or I think they're locked into bottom 4. So they want to get at least that 6 seed. Maybe that 5 if some teams take a nosedive in the middle of the pack. But if you get that 5-6, you get that extra life, essentially. Yeah, as we're looking here, these are the standings as they are right now. Again,
top of that,
5 plays 6. Loser of that plays the winner of 7-8. And then the winner of that gets the last spot in playoffs.
Yeah, on top of that, too, Los is locked in for top 2, regardless.
Yes.
They will play Red tomorrow, and the winner of that will be first seed. But Los has the head-to-head against everybody below them anyways. So they're kind of good with those 2 spots. But it does change the playoff and play-in pictures a lot. Because if Pain just beat Los, there's something a lot scarier, right? Like, all of a sudden, no team wants to be facing Pain if they can help it. They want to kind of change things up. And ideally, you want that 5-6 spot desperately, because the winner of that insta-qualifies. You don't have to worry about Pain sitting down at the bottom, kind of marauding, lurking, ready to pick off whoever kind of loses to them. So that makes tomorrow super interesting in that lower side of the bracket. While the top side, Los and Red, if Los had won today, then sort of things get kind of complicated for Red. They might not matter. I guess it still would have been the same either way. The head-to-head between Los and Red will decide who's first and second seed.
Tomorrow, Pain Gaming have Leviathan, which you'd like to think, coming off a confidence-building win against Los Grandes, Leviathan looks like another confidence builder. With the greatest of respect to them, they did come off their first win of the year against Fluxu, right? They won the toilet bowl. But up next, we've also got Leviathan, and they are playing against Loud. A bit of a Jekyll and Hyde team. This one should be a slapper. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. sometimes you just let the meme speak for itself.
That's from
Because
the official Pain Gaming account, by the way, on Twitter.
I have no, and I tried to translate this in my head of like, okay, is this like an intentionally bad translation of like Portuguese that's like, directly word for word translated into English? Nope.
Oh man, I love it, 4x4. You know what? Like, Pain deserves it. They've been putting up with a lot, and just last week too, they were like telling fans, hey, trust us, we're trying our best to. And hey, it worked out. They got trigonometry online. Now I just need to wait for Trigger to actually play Vel'Koz, and that would be perfect.
True. Then the meme is fulfilled. Yep. Then if we go back to Mage's bot, then the meme is truly fulfilled. Yeah, trigonometry, famously tricky subject. Yeah, you think you know what you're doing. You get through algebra 2. You go, I know how to solve systems of equations. This stuff is pretty easy. Trigonometry comes in and makes you rethink your entire life path. That is why I took that class over the summer, to get it over with. So I could just kind of skip out of that one. A little bit of unnecessary lore about me. RMC, Loud versus Leviathan.
Yes.
Let's get rosters up on your screen. Shout out to Rose having these ready for us. On your screen, you see this Leviathan roster that I was excited for like a hot sec. And then pretty quickly, it's just more suffering for Leviathan fans. Devos, Bookie, Enga, CEO, and Toplop. RMC, give me something to cling on to here.
They are still individually mechanically still players, and I think they are losing because they are just falling a little bit behind. But it feels like they're so close to getting success. But if we want to talk about suffering, let's talk a little bit about Loud, because Loud really struggled initially. Young Jay and Bold, the two Korean imports, really could not click initially, and they were low-key inting a little bit. Young Jay had his 5th highest average deaths even after their wins against Red and BKS. So Loud is kind of still all over the place. We don't know really what to expect from them necessarily. Mago was absolutely struggling as well, but Rise does feel like a champion that can kind of mask some of Mago's laning struggles right now. You just sit back, you power farm, and because they gave over that all-powerful Varus, which is really strong on the patch, has been one of the most played AD carries this season so far, they've been able to secure that Rise for Mago to scale up with.
Yeah, that champion is pretty gross. But it does seem like you said, Mago has had some of his better performances on the Rise, and this team playing what looks like a little bit more of a team fight. It looks like the Pain draft from game 2, or from game 3 of the day, game 1 that I was here for so far. And RMC, it does track. Ooh, Cassio on the other side for Enga, so going to match wave clear for wave clear. That maybe not quite wave clear for wave clear. Rise a little bit better, but scaling for scaling, ability to roam and be kind of a 1v1 threat. It's a similar style of champion, these short range kind of battle mages. And RMC, this kind of fits the Loud DNA, because they, as you put it to me over break, they kind of don't start playing the game until 28 minutes. And that's been a bit of a meme with Loud through the various iterations. But now you have numbers to back it up that we will get into after draft. We'll kind of show that real quick. But yeah, RMC, again, this is literally the Pain draft.
Yeah, so what are we missing here? We need the Mundo in the jungle, and we needed the Bard.
The Bard.
Well, here's the problem. Redbird's not a Bard player.
Historically, no.
Before. Yeah, but it's not necessarily great when he has played. I much preferred him on things like the Rel, the Alistair, to a lesser extent the Rakan, if we're going to go with that. So I do expect to see some changes come through. Also, Mundo in this composition doesn't feel quite as good. When you've got the Cataclysm on the other side, you've got Petrifying Gaze, you've got the Chains of Corruption. Sure, you can block some of the CC, but there's a lot of it. And even the Miasma slow from Cassiopeia is going to be enough to dissuade, I think, Mundo from wanting to run through. I do want to go back to the Cassiopeia pick, though, for Enga. Enga, known as a player who plays things like Anivia, Cassiopeia, these less mobile mages. This is his comfort zone. And also, Cassiopeia is a counter into Rise, because Rise is quite linear. If you can slow him down, you can punish him. She can match DPS for DPS. So right now, I think Lev is answering well, at least with the J4 into Cassiopeia. If I do have a concern with their job so far, it is Varus into Sivir, where she can spell shield a lot of your poke. So I don't want to see poke Varus come through necessarily. It's a bit of a mixed thing, because I do feel like it does well into the Rise, and it weakens him before the fight even starts, whereas if you're doing on-hit, you kind of have to stand there, which is risky, as what we've seen last game. Sivir and Rise can both punish you. So I need to see how they round out with their support in the top lane. I think the top lane for Leviathan is going to be critical to try and figure out how they're going to play this draft out.
Yeah, the range, something that we've discussed before with these compositions. Now you do have, if that Sejuani is locked in, we haven't seen her like a ton.
Yeah.
But look, if you just need okay, well, now we're gonna do this. Renekton, I mean, look, Renekton Vi, it's a lot of CC. It's a if you want to get that going. Now the jungle Aatrox, we have seen this here and there in kind of various regions. We saw it once in CBLOL, like you saw on your screen. It is 0-1, but again, you still don't have a tank. You still don't have that CC, right? And this is a little bit tougher. This is a ballsy pick in this draft.
It is, and unfortunately, in CBLOL, it was top lane Curdy who played it and kind of struggled on it.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. We haven't seen it in the jungle.
Aatrox here. Yeah, but I believe it's the LPL, where was it the LCK, where we have seen the Aatrox shop in the jungle. The clear is not bad as well, but if you're picking the Aatrox here, I need to see some sort of CC to lock people down to set Aatrox up, because Aatrox is really good when you can kind of corral everybody into a tight spot and he can actually land all the skill shots. Yeah. But if they're
like if you have something on your team like a Chains of Corruption, a Cassio ult, a Jarvan ult, let's say, a Nico ult, even. Yeah, that would be really great. You know, and Tempered Fate does corral everyone into one spot, but famously with the Bard ultimate, you can't do anything to them.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this, Roy. It is basically the pain drop, though. Redbird actually did spring for the Bard,
but with one massive difference, with a difference that is not just one champion's worth of weight. That Mundo was doing so much work, and part of the reason you picked the Mundo specifically is because of that CC spell shield. If the Malphite wants to go in on you, it's a Malphite-centric pick. If you want to pick that into the Mundo, guess what? Your biggest button doesn't work. RMC, this is balls. This takes some stones here from Loud, because Leviathan have drafted themselves a really nice composition to play. You've got answers for kind of everything. You've got Engage, you've got Disengage, you've got tons of CC, you've got Peel. I love this draft from Leviathan.
Yeah, and you've got scaling too, right? Scion being the last picks that came in for them. That plus Cassiopeia, that's your frontline, backline kind of done and dusted. If you do want to go sort of poke Varus, I don't even really hate it that much because Renekton and Aatrox aren't true tanks. It's not the Mundo that you're talking about. Heck, the Sejuani I think I'd have preferred much more if you're trying to replicate the Pain success. I guess the idea here, first of all, it's Youngjae. We've got to remember this, right? Youngjae, I've called him basically New Croc, right? When this guy likes to play aggressive. Look at the champions he's played. Kiana. Heck, he played a Lee Sin. Ballsy pick in a horrific position. Nocturne, J4.
In 2026, we're doing that.
Yeah, that's what Youngjae did. And those aren't tanks. He doesn't play tanks. And so I guess he wanted something with a bit more kill threat. Hence, the Aatrox. Why do I see a Mundo behind Loud? That has to be.
So someone messed up.
Okay, yeah, that's probably a graphic issue, because that'd be really weird. But for Youngjae, he wants that. And the funniest thing to me is when I'm looking at CC from his team, there's not a lot to set him up. There's actually one piece of CC on the other team. You're talking about Chains of Corruption, you're talking about Nico Ultimate, Blossom. I'm actually looking at J4 right now. If Bookie screws up, that cataclysm works both ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so it is the Aatrox, as we are seeing here, was a graphics issue. Okay. Good eye, good catch though. But yeah, it's like, I think they're probably doing bets in the back room and exchanging money. Say, hey, like as more picks come in, you say, oh my god, this is gonna be the exact same thing, and someone just dialed up hit all the buttons, all the presets, the F1, F2, F3, F4, F5 on the keyboard back there. But alas, it was not the case. But like you said, Youngjae, and look, if the Aatrox can get going, if this top side gets rolling, even then it's going to be really tough to stop. But if the game goes to kind of 28, 30 minutes, these champions on the side of Leviathan are a bit inevitable. By that point, it will get really, really ugly. So you got to end this game around 25 minutes. And famously, Loud does not like to play the game before then. So a bit of an uncharacteristic draft for them.
Yeah, all the players have changed as a FourY4, and yet Loud still plays the same style of what's an early game, and then 28 minutes. Most notably, though, we do have to highlight Last game, I said that was arguably the biggest upset. Or not arguably, I just flat out said it was the biggest upset. It's arguably the biggest upset because last week we had Loud have one of the biggest wins. The biggest win up to that point, which was them against Red Canids. They were down 12,581 gold and swung back the win. And Talkers blew up at Red.
Did you see that video? Holy moly.
I don't even understand what he's saying. I don't need to. He went full hairdryer on them. He was just ripping them apart. And again, justifiably so. But Loud did that. 12,581 gold down. They came back against Red. If they can do that against Red, they can do that against Leviathan, which makes this game kind of stressful because I need to see Lev find the advantages. But then you look across your lanes and Cassiopeia is a winning lane. but she's not a lane that will just smash. Cassiopeia still needs time to scale up. Look at the bot side. That's not Poke Varus. That's lethal tempo. So CEO and Toplop are saying that, okay, we are not necessarily trying to crush the lane, especially not into a Sivir. We are going more for mid-late game team fights. And then the top side, let's not forget, Renekton is an answer into Sion.
Whoa,
And go
flashing away his angle.
saw that?
Mago, can he get that?
Oh, no!
Just barely single-digit HP. Enga
health?
guessed correctly, sidestepped the Q. Mago not able to lock down a solo kill there. All 4 summoners blown.
And that feels so bad for Mago. That's another story in of itself, right? Mago's supposed to be this huge mechanical player, might have overstayed his welcome. No flash, no ghost, but Bookie, no angle for the collapse. Yeah, Mago, a young player, originally scouted before he was even old enough to actually play in CBLOL, and then there's a whole thing with his mom and cancer, and therefore he couldn't play for a while. Now he's finally back, and he's not been able to recapture the mechanical magic that really caught the eyes of, was it those Grandes who originally scouted him? Like, I can't quite remember which team was it. No,
I mean, yeah, he had a Flamengo stint, I think,
Flamengo?
as well.
Yeah, I can't remember which team originally scouted him, but he's not been able to recapture that magic. And with the rise for a second, the way he was playing, the way he flashed in, I thought we'd see it again, but Enga, balls of steel, 3 health, 4 health, and just still physically dodging out rather than running away. Was Flamengo? Okay, yes, we have confirmation from Dark Knight. Flamengo was the one who scouted him. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when Flamengo had an academy team, when it was Flamengo Academy, I think that was where he won his title back in. I mean, it was a long time ago. But to your point, RMC, this dude, I mean, his tier 2 lore is, you could write a whole book just on that. And this is kind of his second true stint in CBLOL. But it seems like this one is going to be a little more permanent. They're going to allow him to kind of make these mistakes, right? And on a loud team where the pressure isn't as high. I think where he had been before, right, with the Red Canids Academy stint, it's just like, and with the Red stint and the Red Academy stint, that team was trying to win, right?
Yep.
And this loud, it's not that they're not trying to win, but I think they recognize, look, Redbird's the oldest dude on this team. We brought in Shino as well, 2 Koreans that might be nice, but it's going to take a while to get them integrated, right? So I hope, if nothing else, that that Mago is given the full year, because you can't just keep hyping up this prospect and then at the first sign of anything going sideways, you yank him out of tier 1, because like very few people just hit the ground running immediately. It simply does not happen.
Yeah, I don't want him to get the Marvin treatment for sure. And we'll have to see whether or not he becomes the new sort of Ninja Kiwi award. Enga being really hard focused down on, but for this is my concern with the Aatrox, right? Where's the setup? We see the Rune Prison come out. It's not long enough for Youngjae to actually get in there. And that's the second time we've seen Youngjae kind of thinking about the mid lane a little bit. But the first time he just kind of said, no, completely not happening. They traded too early. This time he's kind of thinking about it. But no, again, can't quite find the angle. And he's still farming up decently. But the fact that he's only keeping pace with J4, who's notoriously one of the slower junglers in terms of actually clearing stuff compared to his ganking, just makes me query this particular Aatrox pick right now and how exactly it's going to function.
Yeah, it's like the more we watch the game, the more you're like, I can now think of another reason why this maybe wasn't the smartest pick. Yeah. I saw a different interaction and go, well, shoot, if that was any other champion, maybe that would have gone differently. But hey, here we are. But like you said, kind of the most concerning thing is you've got 0-0-0 by, on the side of the Aatrox. If you got 0-0-0 on the side of Jarvan, okay, that's fine. It's still Jarvan. He's got EQ Flash Cataclysm. Like, you can still be useful. But like you said, the setup, if your setup is a Tempered Fate and like a Rune Prison and then like a Sivir ult to get you closer, like I'm grasping at straws here, but that's the point, right? Is the dive looking like it's going to come through here. If nothing else, if you can get Shino or Youngjae on the board here, again, not a lot of CC. Oh, God.
I love the setup. And
that was it. Like, that was the whole thing. Yep. It wasn't even like, I don't know if that was even an empowered stun, but point is, it wouldn't have mattered. That's so little CC.
And you can almost see the hesitation on Shino to make that happen too. He's like, well, I need all my abilities.
Like, I guess I do this. Like,
I need my abilities to try and kill the Scion. But if I don't use my abilities, we can't push fast enough. By the time to do it, there's like 2 recruits. There's 2 minions, pardon me, who are up there. It's just like, okay,
it's just 2 super minions.
Yeah. That was kind of rough. But the bright side of it is Loud significantly, and to me, this is the biggest thing, is a hidden goal at 7 minutes. I know it's only 7 minutes, but this is... We talked about how Pain was not the worst of the game team. Guess who is for 15 minutes? No prizes.
Is it Leviathan?
No, it's Loud. Loud is by far the worst
Oh.
of the game team, and they are usually down 3,338 gold by 15 minutes. So if you kind of spread
Wow,
that
that's
out,
a
they're
lot.
losing about 200 gold per minute usually. So down right about now, they'd be down about 1,000 gold. So the fact that they're up 100 is
Dubs.
actually a huge
Big dubs
win
in the
as
chat,
far as
guys.
Loud's concerned.
Big dubs. All right.
Yeah, there's the goal
Oh,
graph,
yeah.
courtesy of GOL, Games of Legends. Yeah, you can see that they don't come online till 28 minutes. Like, every time they spike at 28 minutes, but look at how far down they go. That's the horrifying part.
Holy moly. Yeah, that is a picture's worth 1,000 words. That kind of tells you everything you need to know there. You don't need to know anything about stats or League of Legends to go, something bad's going on in this graph. Dragon started up here as Leviathan pull it out of the pit. Bookie is having a little one-on-one time there. Grubs spawn, and now Young Jay moving himself up towards that top side. You see the on my way pings coming down. Looks like it will be that trade of objectives, or at least that's the intention. As Bookie should be able to just 1v1 this, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Pretty much uncontested. Wow, first Dragon going over to the side of Leviathan.
Yeah, and there has been some discourse around how good is Herald at this point in the game. Oh, interesting. Okay, the Dragon tip today is not in English either. That looks like Spanish. So, yeah, everything's in Spanish today. Interesting.
Cool.
But, yeah, this is going back to the Herald Dragon trade. So I think the general consensus now is that Heralds, or Grubs, pardon me, are just simply not worth it anymore.
Yeah.
With how they've changed the turrets and how much quicker it is to take them down with the crystal plating and all that, it just doesn't hit the same. Top lob dive in.
Going way the heck in, and you know what?
Okay.
Got the first blood for Bookie, so
Yeah.
fair enough. Yeah, no level 6 from Redbird. You say, all right, we've got a window.
Okay, what scared me about that 4-4 is the fact that they did that when Bull and Redbird were fairly healthy. So if they can do that once,
Sure.
they can do that on repeat every single time. Bookie didn't even use Cataclysm for additional damage, so that was just straight up punishing. And that means that Young Jay now doesn't get to just free farm the jungle anymore. You actually need to track where this J4 is, lest your bot lane ends up just being a feeding lane.
Yeah, you can't have that happen. It's starting to go so well for them. Leviathan up a little bit. Let's get another look at that. Yeah, that is a lot of HP from Bull to be able to take that down. But it's the amount of space that the freaking Pop Blossom takes up. The Chain CC there, the Chains of Corruption went down immediately. And CEO actually, tanked the brunt of that. So, look, all's well that ends well, but would like to have had Top Lob obviously take a lot more of that of that tower damage there. Shino having some one-on-one time. Maybe you can get that second plate wave. Not quite enough, but able to proxy himself into a nice little spot here.
For now, it looks like it's enough. Like, Shino's gold lead kind of counteracts what's happening in the bot lane a little bit, so
Yeah.
it's kind of okay. Oh, Redbird.
Bookie still has Cataclysm, going to hold on to it, getting juggled there. Tempered Fate goes out, only clips
We want this?
somehow Bookie. Now Mago has a little bit of damage in his pocket. Bookie just going to jump right onto him. Should be enough damage. I know he's going to get right back out. Anga, yeah, you know who does have enough damage is Anga, able to get Young Jay there. Mago,
Yeah.
the health bar was too small. He didn't feel comfortable kind of getting up in everybody's business.
And that was my concern watching Loud kind of go in on that. I don't know if they had enough damage to be able to do that. Redbird already kind of forced out early, burnt a lot of his abilities to just kind of stay alive. This is that argument. It's like behind the turret, hunting.
If I can't see you, you can't see me.
No, fun fact, a lot of snakes, they detect by heat and sort of motion. So apparently Rise is cold-blooded, I guess.
Stay
Not quite
perfectly
finding
still.
that Mago's around the corner there. Yeah, good for Mago, though. He lives. But for Lau, this is one of the sort of criticisms that was leveled against Young Jay fairly early on. He's very aggressive. He goes for a lot of these fights, which doesn't work out well. And previously, I had criticized the rest of Loud for not kind of going in with Young Jay. But this time, undoubtedly, it's Young Jay's fault. That fight was not a one they were going to win, but Young Jay saw the angle and said, hey, I want to get some kills. I want to get in there. And he's the one that kind of forces this back in, even though Redbird's kind of chunked out. And look where the rest of the map is. Shino's not coming to back them up. Their bot lane, Bull, is not moving either. And right there, they think, okay, we got this, kind of low Bookie. But you got to remember that Bookie's got all his abilities, Redbird doesn't. So this is effectively a 2v3 for most of this fight. And the CC chain that we're talking to come through, Young Jay gets locked out, Mago gets forced out of the fight. And that Cataclysm, which was supposed to actually set Young Jay up, I'm just assuming that's how this HL works. Because, he couldn't even get into the Cataclysm to actually go after Bookie.
Yeah, it did not exactly go how they wanted. So now Leviathan up that little bit of gold, but the script is still, going as we thought. Roll quest starting to come in as well as Leviathan goes slightly more ahead. with their, non-zero lead here. Rod of Ages completed here by Enga, not for nothing. So that's a nice little spike there. And get that train rolling. Enga going to be feeling much happier about things. That one kill is the difference in the lane for him, up about 280 gold. Actually, up exactly 280 gold. But for Leviathan, we talked about it. Their composition just scales better. The team fighting is just easier. And it's not even that you'd be able to just out-damage anybody for Loud. I mean, you've got 0 kills at 12 minutes here. RMC, the alarm bells are starting to go off.
A little bit. And for Loud, it's not like you don't have skilling. And we've seen the Rise skilling plenty of times. It's just specifically into the Cassiopeia, it's a little bit hard. The big person I'm kind of looking at for Loud is going to be Bull in the late game. Because the Sivir being able to bounce the blades around is where they need to make things happen. Redbird gets caught in his own jungle.
But will walk away with his life. Oh no, brought someone with him with the blast cone. Bookie goes down the Demacian standard, top lop, maybe trying to get back in there. Tempered Fate goes out. Yeah, maybe bringing in the reinforcements here as Shino showing up to the fight, slices over the wall, not able to dice to close the gap additionally here. Enga, maybe in trouble, maybe not. Gets the Conqueror off. Pops the ultimate defensively. Mago, if he can get one more down, if that ability comes back up, the Rune Prison might be able to be activated. The boss comes in with the Unstoppable Force. Mago and Redbird are so low. Bookie just zoning them completely off the fight. The shutdown does come in for Young Jay here, but the Pop Blossom going to find 2. And the arrow from downtown for CEO going to mean another kill. Chains of Corruption not going to land, but Leviathan break it open here in the mid game.
And this is the part where I'm not sure what's going on with Loud. Because if this happens at 28 minutes, I think Loud wins the fight. But there they just look so disjointed, and because of that, Leviathan continues to snowball. They're up now 2,000 gold. It's no longer just sort of the mid lane issue. It's kind of spreading everywhere, and I love that last snipe coming from CEO. The initial pick, I don't even blame Redbird for this necessarily. Like, yeah, you know you've lost control of your jungle, but you didn't expect for that to happen. The issue is the disconnect here. Specifically, Tempered Fate comes down. Look at Youngjae. He actually throws his ability out early, so he doesn't land the damage. They don't look connected. And then Enga and Bookie, this mid-jungle duo, are just so good about time. Yes, Enga ultimately ends up going down, but before that, he's bought enough time. He's dragging people out of position, and now Shino's chasing. Then where's your damage, right? Mago is already used to spell rotation. He needs a bit of time before he can do anything else. Your Sivir is not here whatsoever. Bull was late to the rotation. And CEO, sure, it takes a while for him to get there, but that's a Varus. He can snipe very long ranges with that piercing arrow, with that the arrow, and he's able to kind of pick up the extra kill. Did he need to be there? No. They'd have won that fight anyways. It's just kind of that little bit extra that keeps going Leviathan's way this early game.
And with the Varus's build, he has decided that he's going to get a little bit more for himself in the late game. Blade of the Ruined King, Lethal Temple, we didn't kind of talk about it. I mean, the Keystone, you don't need to wait for an item to come through. The Keystone will kind of tell you a hint of where the Varus wants to go as the Herald just spawning up there on the top side. Dragon on the bottom side now. It looks like it's going to be that trade again. So honors even as far as the mid game is concerned. But RMC, again, just things getting uglier and uglier for Loud here as Leviathan getting on the they're getting on track here, man. The snowball is starting to roll. Sunfire Cape has come in for Devost. 3 AD threats. Yeah, that's probably fair enough.
Yeah, and Devost is going to be a huge issue trying to get past him. I love to see what Shino did there, where he just kind of ran past everybody. And that is, I guess, the Loud sort of game plan. But it's enough to kind of stall out Mago and Bull from really being able to get past him. And if he's able to position far enough that the bouncing boomerangs don't kind of go off of him to the back, that's the ideal, I think, that Leviathan is kind of looking for. And again, until I see Bull really get into a team fight, it's hard for me to say that Loud is completely dead. In fact, last week, again, 12,000 gold wasn't enough to keep Loud in the grave. So there's always a chance they bounce back. It's really about, I feel like now, how they're managing their risk in the mid game till Bull is ready on online. Like Youngjae walking in here, I actually don't feel comfortable with this. He's half health. You have no vision on anybody on Leviathan. You know Dragon went down, so you're assuming Bookie's there. But you don't even know where CEO necessarily is. You definitely don't know where Top Lip is, because Top Lip was right there. If 3 of them collapse, you're dead.
Yeah, no, you can't be taking that risk. Like, it all worked out, but to your point, you know that the reset has come through. And I mean, I guess if you've got, you know, the respawn timers on lock and know that, well, red buff hasn't come back and blue buff has, so he's going to be on the bot side. No, you can't be taking those risks there. Young Jay only on an item and change there. Devost was up there on the top side, so if you get there and a fight breaks out, you're going to have the side be able to cover for that red side. The CEO gonna rip through this mid lane 4 up bit as we might be into a little bit of a stalemate here, with objectives not going to be up for another 3 minutes and change. But RMC, I think you make a good point there, right? Is look, it's not like this Loud composition doesn't scale. It's not like they don't have damage. It's just the execution is going to be the tricky part. That's a good distinction to make. Gonna pop the Herald there is Young Jay, just right into the mid lane. Not going to be enough to get Loud their first tower of the game, but trying to break this one open. That's the other thing. Leviathan, only the one tower, and it isn't in the mid lane, so it could absolutely be worse. We've got a couple of really good split push. Well, both sides have some good split push threats, to be fair. Chains of Corruption going to land. Bull insta-cleanses it.
Yeah, but burning the cleanse is huge, and I like that call from CEO. I also like the way CEO is actually pushing up. He's trying to make sure that Bull doesn't actually get up there to get that plate. One auto would be all you need to proc the crystals, but CEO, even with Herald kind of charging down, held his nerve. And huge props to CEO as a player. When we saw this Leviathan roster, we're like, okay, CEO, we know he's going to perform. The question was how these sort of LOA promotions were going to work, the LRN and LRS promotions. So Devis, Bookie, and Enga, I think, working off of CEO right now. It looks like a good platform. Even in their losses, I think CEO has been doing well. So, yeah, all the more I'm looking forward to seeing Bull in an actual fight and which AD carry can kind of outperform, because Bull's been pretty solid too, if a little bit uninspired in his laning phase.
CEO ahead just that little bit. When I say just that little bit, it is over 1,000, but feeling pretty good about things. Shino, not for nothing, 1,000 gold lead on his end. No kills either. Just simply being in the right place at the right time, grabbing himself the turret plates, playing this Rise lane, or excuse me, this Redacted lane out very, very nicely. But Leviathan very much in the lead on this one. As Dragon, still another minute and change away. Same with the Baron. As Loud, the most late game team that we have encountered, like RMC said, but 12,500 gold lead that led Talkers into one of a really all-time disappointed dad rant. That's the thing. It wasn't like he just like it was blood and thunder. But it was like the teacher that everybody loves, and then they actually get pissed off, and everyone's like, "Oh my goodness, that was horrifying," right? They don't raise their voice or anything. They're just like, "I am so disappointed in you." Like that's what Talkers were saying, was like, he's like, "I don't get like this, you know that." Like, so it takes a lot for me to get like this, and he's like, "Do you guys care?" Like, you know, he's like, it's the same attitude that we have in scrims. You played that like a scrim. You don't care in scrims, and that came out on stage. I said you have to start caring in scrims. Otherwise, it's going to come out on stage. And what happened? And then he like paused, right, and waited for them to say like, "Yeah, we weren't taking it serious." And that's the worst one, right? When you're like, is it rhetorical? Are we just sitting here like, do I say something? Am I just going to get interrupted? And just, oh man, yeah. So it was pretty electric. Not going to lie to you guys. Excuse me. But the bottom lane, RMC, you talked about it. He combined 2,500 gold lead for Leviathan in that bottom lane. You talked about how Shino has kind of been making up for that on the top side. But Leviathan setting things up for the Dragon. Yeah, I don't think the Baron, look, it'll be up in a second, but the Dragon is going to be where the battle lines are drawn, in my opinion, because the damage just isn't there for Loud if they want to trade that objective. Now, could they spring a trap of some sorts? Maybe, right? You have the ability to do that, but the conditions are very, very narrow.
Popping up from the minion wave, just trying to get pressure. You're right, FourY4. The Dragon is the main thing that they're looking to kind of fight over between both these teams right now. It's worth noting Mago as well. Look at his items, right? He's sitting at a 4-stack Roa, and you compare that to Enga's 9-stack Roa. Seraph's Embrace still not completed either. So for Loud, they're just stalling to buy time. Same with Bull. Bull is sat on the Unitel Wild Arrows and components. CEO's got his 2 items completed for this sort of lethal tempo on hit Vera's build. He's got the Blade of the Rune King, he's got the Ginsu's ready to go. So Shino, he's looking for the flank. Devis just kind of knocking the front door, and Bull is completely isolated right now.
Ooh, that is a ton of damage that comes through. Pop Blossom not going to find its mark as Shino trying to Ooga Booga his way into trouble there on the other side. Mago, like you said, he's around. He does not have a ton of damage. CEO does way more damage than him with all the top lock. Maybe that's enough. Shino goes forward, empowered stun, and that's enough to turn it around, because guess who showed up? It's Young Jay. Realm Warp into the backline for Mago. Able to get the yoink down on the Q. Very well done by Young Jay. Now the Cataclysm going in, and a fantastic Tempered Fate to lock up Enga. There's nothing he can do. And Young Jay just free hitting. How about Loud, man? By hook or by crook? That was an ugly fight all around. But Loud hit every button correctly.
I know that Brazil is ahead of West Coast time. Are we already at 27 minutes?
Yeah,
28
seriously.
minutes, pardon me. Out of nowhere, Loud just turned that around, and I want to see the replay. I need to see the replay because CEO just overextended horrifically and got punished, and because of that, the tides have completely turned. Even before this Baron gets taken, Loud's caught up in gold. Loud has exceeded them in gold, and this Baron is just going to speed things up that much more. And just like that, Loud are going to be able to push in. Again, look at the mid lane and topside turret, right? Those turrets are still standing. 3 plates between the 2 of them. So that's easy gold. Loud can look to pick up. Devis, though, is trying to create as much chaos as possible. Where's Bookie? Bookie ain't there. No steal.
Nope. Chains of Corruption not going to find their mark either. Loud, by the skin of their teeth, able to get out of dodge and grab themselves Baron for 5 members. And you talk about how slingshotty Baron can be, but off the back of that fight as well, Loud, I mean, just 4,000 gold difference just wiped out in the blink of an eye. And now, all of a sudden, Leviathan have to play this much more carefully. It looks like it's going to be another Cloud Soul RMC. Man, so that is a strong soul to be able to get them the help that they need potentially. But let's get another look at this replay. Yeah, because two ultimates expended on Shino there, but really not for much.
Yeah, and the sickest part is for Leviathan, this starts so well, right? Like you chunk Shino, meanwhile, topside, like, Bull just got chunked, not doing much damage in exchange. So it looks like they should be winning, but right there, CEO gets caught. And the moment CEO gets caught, they've got problems. The fight was so split. CEO overchased. And so we're right back to another fight. What the, Mago?
Oh, wow, that is a shutdown for CEO. That is probably the last place you wanted to put that.
And I think it's the last place you're expecting to see that coming through from. Like, CEO looked like he got chunked out and forced out the fight early, but again, he should just gone, instead of on hit, he should just gone poke build. He sniped twice now.
Yeah, no, you talked about it. Like, look, into a Renekton Aatrox. Okay, right? It's there. Everyone's short range. You don't have a true tank. Why not do the poke build? But clearly CEO is feeling just fine without it. Looking like he might be going into a Wit's End, potentially, as that third item. But Loud, still with a good lead here. Still up 1,500.
This is the back.
Oh, top lop. Top loss I'm not going to land, but in there with the Unstoppable Force is Devos. Bull, yeah, just trying to get any sort of damage out he can. Kiting actually very nicely here, will survive. You can get the Empowered Recall off and join the fight up. They've Loud still have a chance to turn this around here. No, maybe not. Enga shows up, starts ripping through Redbird. Redbird gonna get a kill back though on Nabuki as Bull left to the dog as Enga zooming towards him. Nice spell shield from Bull will keep him alive.
What an insane back and forth. We can't even get a replay for all the action that's happening because it keeps swinging. And for a second there, again, like we see Mago get picked down, but we see it's Loud pressing up, looking to try and get some chip damage on these turrets. But the moment they do, Leviathan able to turn around. Beautiful TP from Devis to be able to kind of kick that off. And you can see they just did not expect it coming. Loud is not in position. And the Leviathan is a fantastical beast. It's not an actual creature. We don't know its hunting habits, but right now it looks like it's an ambush predator, and it likes to set traps. Because not only did Devis get the flank around, Enga gets the flank around. Oh, come on!
Oh, Enga whiffs the ultimate, and Mago will make him pay. Had to choose one direction to aim, and chose right in the middle.
Split the uprights, and
yeah,
again, it just swinging backward. We can't even finish a replay. What I actually did want to highlight was Enga actually somehow swinging his way around the back and catching Bull again on that fight. But didn't matter because now Enga is getting caught out trying to split push on that top side, and now both Mago and Enga have to be careful. Both of them they want to split push, and they're more than happy for the 1v1s, but neither of them have great escapes other than just kind of speeding up with Ghost or Phase Rush in the case of Mago. But as we've seen, if you're pushing up, you get punished. It is horrific for your team. Shino knows Devis is here. He doesn't have flash, so he is low-key playing fire a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit here. Shino, he does have the dominance, but it's a 2v1 here. CEO is only level 14. If Shino gets an entire spell rotation onto CEO, maybe he can take him down, but simply not going to be enough. There's that Wit's End. He's on 3 items. Shino is just on 2.5. Trying to buy a little bit of time here, Young Jay. No, not going to happen. Never was going to happen if we're being honest here. Bookie, get a Cataclysm onto Bull here. Top lop from the outside. Gets the Pop Blossom down, and Enga shows up to provide the assist.
I made a really bad putt. Oh, hold on. Top lop.
Bonk. Gets the CC down. Hold the phone here.
That's Seekers.
Yeah, that is massive to keep buying enough time. And now Loud, they've kind of little by little thrown away their entire gold lead.
Yeah, this game's just been swinging back and forth. Technically, they still have a gold lead, Love does, but it's minor. And as you said, it doesn't really matter. They've basically thrown it away. And I love that Mago is actually just focusing on the game because he doesn't have teleport. Yeah. One thing we kind of didn't touch on was we don't have teleports from the mid laners this game. So it's really only the top laners who are taking it. And so Mago couldn't get distracted. So he was just like, okay, well, you'll have fun down there. I'll actually push a turret. And let's not forget, folks, I know it's CBLOL. I know that we finally got action after a really slow sort of second game. Even the first game wasn't it. But it's structures that win you the games, not necessarily just kills.
Yep. Yeah. And Mago, like you said, focusing on playing the actual game. Leviathan up the 3 dragons here now. The soul point coming up in 30 seconds. You gotta fight for it. Or do you?
The dragon, the soul is important, but the way the fights have blown up so far, it doesn't feel like mobility has been the key to this particular game. Even if we talk about how for Mako and Enga, having that movement speed is nice, it really is more about the fact that they're just kind of clashing head to head, and whoever is kind of getting the better fight. At most, the mobility will help you set up a little bit more for these flanks that we have seen come through. But look, Devis and Buki are just brute forcing it again.
Cataclysm comes down, takes a third of HP out of everybody in the CC chain. Might just be too strong. Leviathan running right through. Young Jay shows up. Is it too little, too late? Him and Shino, the 2 little drain tanks against 3 big bodies. CEO has 4 items, by the way, as Mago does go down. And everybody else, all they can do is kind of watch here. It's a lot of damage, really not a ton of crowd control. Not going to be enough here. Maybe you could go for a steal. Young Jay does have the flash, does have the smite, can Umbral Dash over the wall. Potentially cause some shenanigans. Even then, I think that is very brave. Doesn't seem like it's worth it, but hey, what do I know? Young Jay, he's going for it. Gets the blast code over the wall. Very nice Q there by Devast to make sure that he wasn't able to get in. Dashes right back out. Cloud Soul and all the momentum, you have to say, RMC, back in Leviathan's pocket.
On the bright side for Loud fans, we are at 28 minutes, so if there's a chance, I guess it's now that it starts off. But here's just the engage from Leviathan, and they kind of brute forced it, but they did it right. They did it fast. They melt Bolt immediately, and we already said, if it comes to the late game for Loud, what's going to win them the fights is Bolt. He needs to be alive to get those bouncing blades going, and he wasn't. Yeah. Young Jay tried to make action happen, but it's the same concern we've had about this Aatrox all game long, which is what we had in draft. How is he going to get in there? He was late into the fight. Everybody's moving. All the parts are moving. He's struggling to get his damage off, and while he is menacing, don't get me wrong, you can see that Leviathan saw him on the flank and decided, hey, no, we got our win. We don't want this. But the moment they can set themselves back up and they can track where Young Jay is coming from, it's the Dragon takeover again, where Devis will just stand in front of him and say, you shall not pass.
Mm-hmm. Now, he is just such a big body, and you see just the impact that has, right? I mean, like you said, if you don't have Bull to rip through everything, that health bar is really not going to be doing much. You do have the cleaver there, right, from Shino to be able to, help that out a little bit, but at the end of the day, it still all comes down to Bull. CEO for that 4th item picked up the Mercurial Scimitar. He's on his way to item number 5 right now. Redburst got himself on McHale's. Yeah, a lot of really impactful CC. Kind of on the side of Leviathan. But CEO knows that if he gets caught out, his function is simply too important. He does way too much with that Blade of the Ruin King Ginsu's. I mean, with this on-hit Varus build, you just absolutely shred people. Baron up. Elder not going to be for another 4 minutes and change. Although RMC, the way this is going, I've got an inkle that we're going to see an Elder fight.
Yeah, that might very well decide the game. That or Baron. Baron is up, but it feels like both teams have kind of been neglecting it. Like, that's not the big focus for them. I agree with you, forever. Yeah. I do think it's Elder, the way both teams have kind of loved their just straight team fighting prowess and how that has decided a lot in the game. Leviathan pushing up the mid lane, but Mago, again, I like the fact that he's up there pushing, but he has to be very careful. He doesn't have teleport available. He's got a Realm Warp, but the range on Realm Warp is not that high.
Not that high. No, it's kind of one screen and change is all you're going to get out of it. Certainly not teleport, like you said. Yeah, top laners, I kind of thought that with the free teleport that the quest gave you, you'd see a lot more combat sums, but instead they say, no, we could just cast teleport twice as often. Why would we ever do that?
Yeah, and it's funny too, when I see champions like Sion especially, I'm just like, well, why do you need...
Yeah, you of all people. Yeah.
Yeah, you can just, as long as you've got your driving license and you know what you're doing, you can get from one side of the map to the other pretty quickly. You don't even really need the shield as Sion either, so... But hey, it has been working out. Can't complain too much about it when it has been getting them to the fight. Mago getting caught out. This was exactly what we warned about FourY4.
Cataclysm down. Don't even try to use the Realm Warp, son. You are toast. Mago caught a little bit unawares out in front here. And now, with Devast, he knows that if he gets jumped on here, he's just going to get shredded. But playing with the spacing to be able to could potentially go back in should Leviathan want to do that. Young Jay, is he going to go in for the Miracle Steal here? Tempered Fate goes out, and are we going to do anything about it? Whoa! Devis goes in with the Unstoppable Force. Young Jay, not going to pop the World Ender just yet. Chino does pop the Dominus. Loud, a little bit discombobulated on potentially what they want to do here. CC down is Bull. Flash Pop Blossom going to find Young Jay, and that will be it for the Aatrox. 5v3 now. They turn their sights back onto the Baron without the threat of a Smite Steal. Should be much easier taking here for Leviathan.
It was all just a big bait for FourY4, and Loud fell for it. They know that Loud was looking for the angle. They know Young Jay's impatient and wants to make something happen. They know how strong Baron can be, and they went fishing with it, getting that catch. And they not only get Young Jay, they not only get Mago for free, but it's also the Baron in their pockets, allowing them to push this top side turret. I didn't even realize the outer turret's still standing. Wait, is Enga not going to take it?
I'm a little surprised by that. I'm like, okay, where else do you go?
There were plates.
Feels like, yeah, that. This is where I go. I must be missing something.
Oh, he's trying to rush back to set up for Elder. It's just that I was looking at the timers, and Elder's more than a minute and a half away at this point. So
yeah, you had time
to set up for it. Yeah, but I guess they want to try and clear out vision and then maybe look for an ambush, a pick into the Elder. And as you pointed
Cassio
out,
does help with that, to be fair.
True. Yeah, and as you pointed out earlier, the Elder will probably decide the game. So if they can get a pick, get into Elder, they've probably decided that will be what wins them the game. So they want to be set up and ready for that instead. Now, they have committed a lot of resources to the bot side. Shino is up top pushing. He's taking the Mago role right now.
Shino playing the game, as it were. But Leviathan are playing the game more. They are
playing it with
just
Baron.
marauding through the bottom lane with the Baron, with a GA on Bookie as well. Super based, self-aware build there by my goat in the jungle. As Devast here doing his thing in the bottom lane. They do get the inhib, so traded inhib for inhib here, and there's a little bit of attention being paid now. Is the recall going to come through here from both sides? Devast going to go back, and Enga, not for nothing. As that top lane really is pushed in, but well, I don't know if you needed Enga to go back. Just kind of let one do its thing. Devas level 20 already. Shino almost there. Bookie able to EQ his way out of trouble.
Okay, and now the inhibs going down on opposite sides is interesting. I feel like generally we'd consider the top inhibitor worth more in this situation when your supers are pressuring up and Dragon is the main objective. But for Lev, I think they're okay with getting the bot side inhibitor because it lets them control the bot side jungle a lot more. They're looking for Young Jay. Devis can't find the out either, and Young Jay's just dodging everything.
Chains of Corruption miss as well. Shino's on the other side. They're looking for a pincer there, but stopping that right in its tracks is Top Lop with a ton of CC. If Enga can stay safe, he'll have a lot to say about this fight, but Mago actually able to just kind of T-pose on him, gets onto him and rips him through. Shino staying alive much longer than anyone expected. Young Jay still alive as well. CEO still alive. Devas has a big old health bar to play with. Loki gets back from the GA, and that could be what swings it. I thought Loud were about to pull out some Loud magic, some shenanigans, but like you said, RMC, maybe not for the reasons we thought, but that bot lane inhib certainly providing a lot of value.
I mean, there's several supers up top as well that are pushing. They're just slower right now. Mago getting run down by a Scion. You hate to see it, you hate to live it. But for Loud, they've got bigger problems because Lev is looking to just end this game.
Leviathan drafted them. I mean, like, they executed their composition better. The champions were simply better at doing what they wanted to do, what they needed to do. And CEO and Enga, but CEO really just putting on a masterclass, and Bookie as well. What a game by him on the Jarvan. Team fighting so well. Leviathan pick up their second win, and now just a game behind Loud in the standings as they drop to 3-3. They're still alive for that. No, they're not alive for top 4. Excuse me, Leviathan. They're already locked out of that, but trying to be like Pain Gaming and secure really that 6th spot, because that's gonna be the one that's up for grabs, right? Between Red, FourY, Loud, and Cade, they should get 2, 3, 4, 5. Barring disaster. So it's Fluxu, Leviathan, Pain in the bun fight.
Well, yeah. For 5th, though, that's the interesting one, because now Cade and Loud are both kind of in that 5th place battle. And that's why this match was kind of so important for Loud, to try and to confirm Are they a top 4 team, or did they get lucky with the red throw, with the VKS struggles against them? Because the VKS game actually looked clean from Loud, but now we saw from Leviathan. Leviathan, a team that we had said has an opportunity to throw upsets in. The potential is there, and we're starting to see it kind of crystallize a little bit from them. The connection you're talking about, you know, Bookie and Enga, I think they did phenomenally. Sorry, CO and Bookie. I think Enga as well really connected very, very well with Bookie in that particular game, and that's kind of what was winning them a lot of the fights. Whereas for Loud, I don't know, man. That Bull, the way they're not protecting Bull is really, really bad. Like, you know, he's the win con, and yet he went down at the beginning of every single fight. And yeah, there we go. Thank you for the standings, Rose. Loud and Kate, what we got to remember is Kate has the head-to-head. So suddenly tomorrow's games are super important. We might have kind of written Fluxu off, but Fluxu has the opportunity to do funny things to the standing. Kate will be up against Furious, so that's already going to be a very, very tough match between the two of them.
Yeah, like you said, it's really kind of crunching around that 5-6 spot. There is a boatload of teams just vying for not falling into that. Because if you are in that kind of, if you're an NBA fan, it's like the play-in tournament. It's the same structure. 7-8, 9-10, winner goes up. I think they call that a waterfall bracket. I don't know. Point is,
I don't do traditional sports much.
yeah. But anyway, the game's next week, or I should say
tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah. Yes, tomorrow, because it is Saturday. I'm usually on Sundays this year, but I'm on Saturday today. Yeah, so, but then Sunday, and then don't forget, right, the games on Sunday will decide everything. And then Monday, we've got 2 best of 3s. It's that 5-6 match and that 7-8 match. A little than usual. MVP, before we kind of wrap it up here.
Oh.
I'm willing to give it to CEO. I'm fine with that. He played a heck of a game. Yeah, or Bookie, I guess, because maybe things don't happen without all that CC. It was a really good team effort from Leviathan. I don't know if there was like one standout. It just kind of worked.
I mean, for me, I think Bookie, Enga, CEO, any of the 3 I'd be fine with. If you're feeling strongly with CEO, I'm willing to back that. I do think he did a lot of work. Actually, yeah, I guess, you know what, we can split. I think I'd go for Enga. I think his Cassiopeia, the Petrifying Gazes, and he helped carry a lot of the fights after CEO kind of got focused out, because both teams seem to focus the 80 carries. CEO surviving, I agree, made a huge difference though.
So with that, like we said, the game's tomorrow, same time, same place, but on Monday, 1 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Brazil time. And I like that because, well, it's a weekday, and not everyone in esports is unemployed, contrary to popular belief, so it allowed the fans to get to the arena on a weeknight to get there and make their usual noise, get the atmosphere going for what is essentially, you know, playoff games, right? Eliminations will be had and seasons will be thrown into jeopardy all on Monday and then Tuesday as well. And we should have some form of stream for those, but we'll, you know, no news is good. If you don't hear anything
co-stream.
Yeah. Monday might be a true kind of co-stream in the biblical sense, but on Tuesday we should be ready to roll for a potential finals quote unquote preview. So RMC, any final thoughts on Loud, Pain, still reveling? I'm
still basking the afterglow of Pain's win. You know what? We kind of suspected it'd be a CBLOL weekend, and it has delivered so far, because we are still well in chaos, and I am here for it, love it, and it just makes more suspense for the rest of the games.
Yep, that's why we do it. That's why we love this league. Sometimes it is deeply unserious, but it is always very, very entertaining. So, with all that, we bid you adieu. I've been FourY4. That has been RMC. Big thank you to Bren as well for stepping in. And who else was casting with Bren yesterday or this morning?
Early today was Orbital 1 Bren.
Orbital as well. Thank you for Orbital. Thank you to Rose for producing, getting the graphics going, and throwing us jokes in chat during the middle of the game. We always appreciate it. Thank you to you, dear viewer. We'll see you back here, same time, same place tomorrow. Have a good one.